Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Marvel. I am Black Widow Godfather and my strength was exposed by the Scarlet Witch. Chapter 81. I have the ability and enough money. Dr. Doom Victor said, showing off his abilities. Not just metal, but a little bit of control. His abilities are complex. He just stretched out his hand, and what was in front of him melted. And then, Lorna asked, tilting her head. You want to conquer this world, and I want a world of mine. Dr. Doom looked at Lorna and said, his whole body hidden under the mask. Only by destroying this world can my world survive. We can destroy this world together, and then rebuild a new world. When the time comes, mutants will be human beings. This way of drawing flatbread is far from Magneto. Moreover, Lorna also saw that the person in front of her was not a mutant. Mutants are a very strange group. They all have chains of contempt internally, not to mention guys who are not mutants. Just like Xiaobai discriminates against Xiaohe, Xiaohe discriminates against Xiao Huang, discrimination is everywhere. So, Lorna sneered and asked, why should I cooperate with you? Because I'm strong enough. Dr. Doom's eyes seemed to twinkle, he could control a lot of things. If the Brotherhood of Mutants does not agree, then he will completely subdue the organization. Then the next second, he found himself under control. Lorna's hands glowed green, and her eyes looked at him indifferently. Just you. I'll take you, easily. With a casual wave of Lorna's hand, Dr. Doom was thrown to the ceiling. He was all metallized and wearing a homemade metal suit, so he ran to the Mutant Brotherhood, which was simply looking for death. Whether it is Lorna or Magneto, they can easily beat him. Dr. Doom is confident that he can fight Magneto, but finds himself underestimating mutant abilities. He could indeed wrest control of himself, but it was still far from Lorna and Magneto. Unless he is the Doctor of Doom of other worlds, relying on magic to deal with Magneto and Lorna. Otherwise, he will be played with by father and daughter by relying on his own body of steel. Should I call you stupid or arrogant? Lorna knew his state of mind, and the sharp expansion after gaining his power was so swelling that he thought that Magneto's ability was nothing remarkable. I've never seen someone like you send to the door. You can choose to join the Brotherhood of Mutants and do things for us completely. Or, die. Quote, Lorna can detonate his body and completely destroy him. If he dealt with the Fantastic Four, Dr. Doom's abilities would be strong, but he picked the wrong opponent. This world is mutually beneficial. Even invincible Superman has weaknesses, not to mention Dr. Doom. Feeling his uncontrolled body, Dr. Doom's newly ignited ambition was extinguished in an instant. The world is too dangerous. I agree to join the Brotherhood of Mutants. Dr. Doom, who died before he could make it, made a clever choice. He also understood that Lorna was interested in his ability and money. The most embarrassing thing about the Brotherhood of Mutants is that it has no money. Compared to the X-Men, they are a group of poor people living in slums. The smart thing about Professor X Charles is that he has been working with the White House and can get a lot of money. Otherwise, on his own, he would not have been able to open a mutant academy in a metropolis like New York, and also form an X-Men. These are all things that need a knife. The Brotherhood of Mutants is different, under the leadership of Magneto, has been fighting against humans. Where can I get money? Even if someone secretly finances it, it has not been enough. And the Mutant Brotherhood is not like the Hellfire Club, which secretly holds a huge amount of energy. If it weren't for the fact that this group of mutants was bullied and tortured by humans, they had faith in their hearts. It is estimated that it has long been unbearable. After Lorna returned home, she immediately told Kei Chen the good news. Kei Chen didn't expect it to be so dramatic. The Fantastic Four became the Fantastic Three, and Susan couldn't possibly join. Even if she had superpowers, she would only do what she could. Dr. Doom didn't go to Reed for their trouble, and went directly to the Brotherhood of Mutants to give heads. Obviously, he and Mr. Fantastic Reed are mortal rivals. No matter what world they live in, Dr. Doom and Mr. Fantastic are mortal enemies. As a result, the sworn enemies fell one after another before they met. Mr. Fantastic will never marry Susan in his life and break his wings. Dr. Doom has become Lorna's working boy. Old unlucky fool. Mr. Wonder Reed returned home exhausted. It doesn't seem to be so joyful to get superpowers, even with a nickname. Because he felt lonely and lonely. Unlike Johnny the Thunderbolt, he can go around and have fun. But it was only a momentary thought, and he didn't know what he would do later. With superpowers, most people don't know what to do. It is precisely because of this that many people with justice in mind will embark on the path of fighting criminals. It seems that only the use of superpowers in this area is more reliable. The evil ones will go down the opposite path. Reed is fortunate to be a man of justice. He turned on the light and suddenly found a person sitting on a sofa in the hall of his house. Black bald head glittering in the light. Reed Richards, I've been following you for a long time. Black Egg said slowly. Who are you? Reed asked a little warily. I'm from S.H.I.E.L.D. and want to invite you to join us. Nick Fury got up from the couch. You need to use your abilities on the right track. S.H.I.E.L.D. did start paying attention to Reed very early. Reed has been known as a child prodigy since he was a child, and has graduated from world-class universities such as California Institute of Technology, Harvard University, Columbia University, and Imperial State University, and has received doctorates in engineering, mathematics, physics and other fields. S.H.I.E.L.D. needs people like Reed. Nick Fury was going to wait for Reed to fail and suffer a blow before luring him into S.H.I.E.L.D. After all, geniuses are arrogant, and although Reed doesn't seem to have such a bad personality, Nick Fury still wants to suppress it. As a result, the project failed, but Reed actually had the ability to change any shape of his body at will. And with Tony Stark, Nick Fury immediately couldn't sit still, so he ran to his house. S.H.I.E.L.D., what is the organization? Reed hesitated when he heard this, and then asked. Apparently already moved. Maybe he won't completely join S.H.I.E.L.D., but he can cooperate. Confirming that Dr. Doom will not make trouble, Kei-Chen's life has entered a monotonous and boring rhythm again. Time management is becoming more and more proficient. And also mostly habits. Women are used to seeing him once a few days, and there will be no complaints. The premise is that you can eat enough. Although Susan is very clingy, after gaining superpowers, a chance encounter opens the door to a new world for her. She had mastered the ability to fly in the air, but instead saw someone commit a crime. Susan went to solve the criminal without saying a word, and after showing up, she was praised and thanked by passers-by, and she was immediately overjoyed. So she fell in love with being a superhero. Plus she was originally a person who saw righteousness and courage. Subsequently, she no longer complained that Kei-Chen had less time with her, as long as she could eat once in a few days. Eat a meal, don't think too much. After Susan had her own business, Kei-Chen was completely liberated. Otherwise, everyday fire, theft and Susan, who can prevent this? It turns out that women can't be housewives, that's really scary. The little fairy must be independent. At least Kei-Chen is very supportive of his woman having an independent career, at least find something to do. Otherwise, it will always be dragged down, and others will be dissatisfied. In such a happy day, time flew by, and soon came to 2005. The year 2005 was still a big year. It is rumored that a large green-skinned monster has appeared, causing a lot of losses for the military. As the White King of the Hellfire Club, Kei-Chen knew better. Because General Ross is a member of the Hellfire Club. General Ross is very unusual. His father is from a military background, and his mother is from a political background, so he can join the Hellfire Club. His plan, the Hellfire Club naturally also has an understanding. The hapless Dr. Banner was exposed to gamma radiation during the experiment and turned into a powerful Hulk. General Ross set his mind to capture the Hulk and use his blood to create more super soldiers. Americans have never let go of their mind about super soldiers. After all, I have tasted the sweetness of Captain America. Just a Captain America was able to play such a big role in World War II. What if it's a squad of super soldiers, an army? Then directly the world is invincible, a true beacon of freedom. General Ross received great support because of his own energy, but he suffered heavy losses. Even if a lot of troops are dispatched, they are still no match for the Hulk. Let the Hulk run away, and there are still a lot of things damaged. It is estimated that the loss is tens of millions of US dollars. There were others, such as loss of personnel, that made General Ross very much questioned within the army. If it weren't for his strong background, he would have been liquidated long ago. But even so, he can only keep a low profile for the time being. However, he did not give up the idea of capturing the Hulk. It's just that for a while I don't know where the Hulk is hiding. Dr. Banner is a smart man, and he will certainly not easily appear in the public eye. Maybe just find a place where birds don't. There is not even basic communication, and it is very difficult to find someone. So much so that General Ross can often be seen drinking at the Hellfire Club to relieve his worries. In fact, S.H.I.E.L.D. has been studying gamma rays for decades. This is still Howard's credit. Other than that, there is only Tony and Hanmo's mouth fight. The two often scolded each other in the newspaper, saying that each other's weapons and ammunition were not as good as their own. Although Justin Hanmo was in the downside, he was not completely defeated. There are many arms dealers in the United States, and although they know that Tony's weapons are the best, they will not use all of them. Money is a big problem, mainly to avoid monopolies. Arms dealers are the most terrifying problem here. Every president shouts out the slogan of banning guns, "Is there a fart use?" Dare to leave the arms dealer without food, you can try it. One can imagine how much energy every arms dealer has. It is basically impossible for Tony to completely bring down Justin, and even if there is any crime going in, it can come out quickly. And so, the time came April Fool's Day in 2005. Kei Chen spent this time at the Hellfire Club. Because the White Queen didn't know where she knew that today was the White King's birthday, she held a large banquet, which was a grand occasion rarely seen in the world. Countless luxury cars were parked outside, and I don't know how many prominent people were present. In this case, Kei Chen was of course going to be there. Countless people take advantage of this opportunity to get to know each other, improve their networks, and make a lot of money together when they have the opportunity. This is something that poor people cannot touch in their lifetimes, and they can't get into this kind of gathering even if they are crowded and bloody, and naturally there is no huge network. This is class. The rich will struggle to maintain their class and suppress those who strive to climb the ladder. Let their efforts come to naught. The gradually weakened Black Queen also attended the banquet and wanted to save her relationship with Kei Chen. In fact, she and Kei Chen have no contradiction. The first meeting was also to find the Phoenix Girl. Although she was almost torn apart by the Phoenix Woman's hand, she coveted that powerful energy. Then, there is no then. Kei Chen directly became the White King, and Emma's man of the White Queen naturally became an enemy. But the Black Queen is no longer willing to be suppressed. Anyway, there is no Black King in the Hellfire Club, and it is normal for her Black Queen to be a woman of the White King, right? As for finding a Black King, she searched for no one she could see. Although she didn't know much about Kei Chen's strength, it was definitely extremely powerful to be able to convince powerful mutants like the White Queen and Ling Di. At least well fed. Therefore, the Black Queen took advantage of the banquet to offer hospitality. She was covered in black, with long black hair, black lipstick number, and a long black dress. Can we talk individually? Taking advantage of the White Queen to deal with the members of the Hellfire Club, she came directly to find Kei Chen. Yes, but I don't like black lipstick. Kei Chen smiled and said, that will make me feel poisoned. Quote, he prefers flaming red lips and looks more sensual. The Black Queen immediately understood in seconds, and when she came out again, she had already changed to red lips, but it was just a matter of changing the color. She directly took Kei Chen's hand and pulled him into the box. This is the best opportunity, otherwise every time the White Queen will look at Kei Chen to death. Occasionally, there was a gap, and Ling Butterfly, that bitcha, wanted to occupy him. This made the Black Queen unable to find a chance to approach Kei Chen at all. Now the time is finally ripe. At this moment, Kei Chen felt that the entire Hellfire Club was his. This is how the Supreme King feels. White Queen Emma did not expect that she was on guard, but still let the Black Queen Celine find a loophole. She was very unwilling, and seemed to want to destroy Kei Chen. Kei Chen found that as the owner of the Hellfire Club, he seemed to be the busiest person. It was late, and he didn't go back at all, but stayed at the club for one night. When the White Queen was really unable to do it, he came to the bathroom to prepare for check-in. While soaking in the bath, Kei Chen chose to sign in. With the red seal of the Black Queen, you should be able to have good luck, right? Congratulations to the host, successfully hidden all strength, has been signed in for 12 years, and got the reward, Dimensional Imprint. The longer you check in, the better the rewards you get. Dimensional Imprint. Do you want to become a dimensional demon god? Use it if you want, and it will lead you to an ownerless dimension. After Kei Chen saw the sign in, he immediately became sleepy. Go straight out and have a big battle with the White Queen. The White Queen fell asleep, and Kei Chen looked at the panel. Host: Kei Chen. Items: Life-sharing necklace, Mother, Fountain of Eternal Life, Wonder Woman's mantra lasso, Dimensional imprint, consumables. Abilities: Batman's combat ability, Hot Vision, Motherland version, telepathy, teleportation ability, mirror space, immortal body, serious punch, time back. An extra black mark appeared on the back of his hand. As long as you urge it with your thoughts, you will go to an ownerless dimension. Dimensional demon god. In the earliest concept of the Marvel Universe, dimension is the third dimension outside of time and space. Many people believe that the ultimate meaning of eternity and life can be found there. In fact, it is also true, if you can become a dimensional demon god, transcend time and space, and become the only existence in the multiverse, you can also have endless lifespan and power. But even if it is a dimensional demon god, only a few are, only as strong as Mephisto, he also has his presence in countless universes. But even so, in their respective timelines, being able to become a transcendent dimensional demon god is an extremely powerful existence. Time and space cannot bind the dimensional demon god. For example, Dormammu, the reason why Doctor Strange was able to torture Dormammu with the power of the time gem is because Dormammu has transcended time. For Doctor Strange, every time he starts over, every time he just comes to the dark dimension to negotiate with Dormammu. So he can withstand this torture, even if he casts his own spells, but does not have the memory of every death. For Dormammu it is tormented. Dormammu transcends time, the time loop only works on Strange himself, and Dormammu is able to remember everything he killed every time. After a long time, Dormammu couldn't bear it and chose to negotiate with Strange. Although Dormammu was tortured, the strength of the dimensional demon god was evident. In the dimension of the demon god, it is almost impossible to defeat. Moreover, Dormammu is not the most powerful demon god. The big guys such as I-Demon and Starak are the most powerful demon gods. As long as Kei Chen wanted to, he would go to an ownerless dimension, and as long as he could become the master of that dimension, he would be able to become a dimensional demon god. It's just that he doesn't know if it's difficult, and how long it takes. As for whether he would become the ghost of Dormammu, Kei Chen didn't have to worry. Before Dormammu traveled to the dark dimension was also an ownerless dimension, and there were many original inhabitants. Dormammu was originally a powerful wizard, and he was also a person, but for the sake of great power, he gave up his original physical body and became what he is now. His body was replaced by magical flames, but with it came great strength. Therefore, the dimensional demon god can also maintain his own form, and does not have to become like Dormammu. Although a person's body may not be able to withstand a huge amount of energy, Kei Chen will not give up his body. Don't say it's someone else, he can't accept it himself. When he woke up the next day, Kei Chen called the Black Queen and the White Queen, and the two of them sat in front of Kei Chen, while Ling Di could only stand behind. Although the member level of the Spirit Butterfly also rose quickly, he obtained the title of Hellfire inside. But both the White Queen and the Black Queen are alive, and she can never compare with the two. Fortunately, Ling Di was used to this identity, as long as Kei Chen spoiled her. Other than that, there is nothing else to ask for. I'm going to leave for a while, and the time is not fixed. Kei Chen said slowly. The Black Queen suddenly couldn't accept it, she had just tasted the delicacy, and she was about to lose it immediately. The White Queen and Ling Di were the same, full of reluctance. Where are you going? Can we go together? Quote, they are almost going to become Kei Chen's vassals. Can't go. Kei Chen did not choose to hide it, the Hellfire Club is all his own, what are the scruples? I'm going to other dimensional spaces, which is the third dimension mentioned outside. Hearing Kei Chen's words, they were all a little worried. But Kei Chen was very confident. Don't worry, I can't die. He was an immortal man. Who could fill the flag and shout, who dares to kill me? Hearing his words, the White Queen and the others were still a little worried, but did not say much. Just let Kei Chen stay for a few more days. It wasn't until 3 days later that Kei Chen left the Hellfire Club. They are all like crazy, especially the Black Queen, who has been holding back for thousands of years and is the most terrifying. So much so that when he went home, Kei-chen's feet trembling when he stepped on the accelerator. But this is not over. He told Lorna and Paige the news that he was going to be away alone for a while, and he was also reluctant to return. Thinking of May and Susan next, Kei-chen couldn't help but feel some legs and stomach tremble. Kei-chen could see that they were all intentional. This is to make him feel afraid from the bottom of his heart when he sees a woman. Subsequent May and Susan, Kei-chen also barely coped. Unfortunately, there is still a while when Susan is about to have her birthday. Kei-chen naturally has rich skills for giving women birthdays. Although Lorna and Paige have no birthday, May is going to pass, not to mention the White Queen, and every year the Hellfire Club holds a banquet. Therefore, Kei-chen still has some experience. It seems that the better the family, the more they like to spend their days more solemnly, and they also attach great importance to birthdays. May is still from a poor family, so every birthday is very casual, just eat a cake and give a gift. But the White Queen is different, and her birthday is more about showing her power. Susan is not as good as the White Queen, but she was also born in a middle-class family, and she still attaches importance to birthdays. After Kei-chen accompanied her, he chose to activate the dimensional mark on the back of his hand. In a dark space, it is dark here, and everywhere you see is vast. There seems to be no sign of life in this space, no indigenous inhabitants, and no living things. Only the light that passes by from time to time indicates that this place seems to be a third dimension beyond time and space. Every dimensional space is different. For example, the dark dimension of Dormammu, the scarlet universe of Starak. At this moment, a rainbow-like light appeared. Boom! In the darkness, a woman with a shawl opened her eyes. She looked crazy, her clothes were tattered, and there were holes everywhere, and her fair skin could be seen. What people? Her voice was a little hoarse, as if she hadn't spoken in a long time. The long bangs were even able to cover her eyes, until she flicked it, revealing her delicate face. In this dimension, there are outsiders who can come in. Her voice gradually moistened, and her words became coherent. She just flashed and came to the person who suddenly appeared in the dimension. It was a man with a dangerous aura on his body, and a pair of star-like eyes were looking at her. Asgardians, the woman asked suspiciously, but then realized that it was not. Who are you? Kei-chen asked the woman in front of him. But looking at her downcast appearance, there was already a guess in her heart. You should answer me first, it's the rule. The woman continued to ask. You are not from Asgardian, how did you get here? Quote. The goddess of death also talks about rules. Kei-chen said lightly, of course he would not tell the other party how he came. The woman in front of her is covered in hair, very down, a face looks very enchanting, coupled with her words, Kei-chen can guess that she is the goddess of death. Hela, the main thing is that there is no difference between her and Kei-chen's memory, and the unique temperament on her body reveals her identity. You're Odin's man, Hela, the goddess of death, asked, tilting her head slightly. She was curious about how Kei-chen knew her identity. Nope, Kei-chen shook his head. I'm from the atrium. The earth is the center of the 9 realms, and the name in the 9 realms is Midgard, or atrium. Therefore, when he said that he was from the atrium, Hela immediately understood. Weak atrium people. Knowing Kei-chen's identity, Hela had nothing to fear. Although she didn't know how the people in the atrium knew her identity, it didn't matter. She raised her right hand and stretched out her finger to hook Kei-chen's chin. No matter what your identity is, no matter how you got here, you only have 2 choices. Hela raised her chin proudly, looked at Kei-chen domineeringly and said, you either surrender to the great goddess of death, or you will die under my sword. Quote. In front of her, there are only servants and enemies. Hela, the goddess of death, is very tall, almost as tall as Kei-chen, and the weight is difficult to estimate because of Asgard's physique. But the body density of the Asgardians is several times that of the Earthlings, which means that her weight is estimated to be several times. That is to say, don't look at Hela's perfect body line and look very delicate, but she actually weighs hundreds of pounds. Just listening to this number, it seems terrifying. But looking at her figure, I don't think so. What if I say no? Kei-chen smiled and said, there is only one truth in this world, women submit to men, and men conquer the world. This is for the strong. Hela's smile turned grim. No one had ever conquered her. For the weak, men submit to women, and women conquer the world. This is Hela's real experience. She conquered the 9 realms. Moreover, no man has ever conquered her, and she will not be conquered. I don't know who gave you self-confidence, but if you dare to refuse me, you can only die. Hela said, and directly chose to do it. She is a crazy woman. Of course, Hela knew that Chen's strength was good, and he could avoid Odin's detection and come directly to the dimension, and ordinary people with such strength did not have it all. But so what? Hela didn't think about anything else at all. She started when she was upset. She didn't think Chen could beat her. So, under a slight sneak attack, Hela pierced Chen's body with a sword. The sword of the night sky suddenly appeared in her hand, and she stabbed at him while Chen was defenseless. Unsurprisingly, Chen did not dodge at all, and let her pierce herself. Chen only felt a tearing feeling. Hela thought Chen was dead. But in the next second, Chen directly grabbed her night sky sword and pulled it outside. Shish! Blood gushed out along with the wound, but surprisingly, the wound recovered very quickly. As if it were intact, her sword did not penetrate at all, as if everything was an illusion. But the blood that kept dripping from the sword of the night sky told her that it was all true. The man in front of him has a strong self-healing ability. I don't like hitting women. Chen looked at Hela and said. Hela touched his face with one hand and said as if frantically, conquer me or be killed by me. Quote, no matter how strong the self-healing ability is, it will also be killed, right? Therefore, Hela believes that only the latter is possible, and no one can conquer the goddess of death. But if Chen really has the ability to conquer her, why not? Hela, who has been tortured for so long, has long been not a normal mentality. She longs to talk to people, but she doesn't want to be an equal. She is a conqueror who sees everything and wants to conquer. Therefore, she always acted according to her own wishes, rewarding when she was happy, and stabbing her to death with a sword when she was unhappy. Hela's only wish now is to kill Odin and take back what belongs to her. If Hela's body could appear with a blackened progress bar, she would have been 100% long ago. Facing such a crazy woman, Chen knew. Only more violent than her can conquer her. Boom! Chen looked at Hela, and a red light appeared in his eyes. Hela only felt that the hand touching Chen became hot. Then a strong hot gaze shot towards her, and Hela immediately raised her hand to block it. Ah! Hela felt her palms burning and was instantly shot away by the heat vision. Her figure flew out dozens of meters away, dragging a long trail on the ground in the dimensional space. When she raised her hand, her palm seemed to be about to break open and become pitch black, but it also recovered at an extremely fast speed. Hela also has a strong self-healing ability, and most Asgardians do not heal as fast as her. Because she is in charge of death. The only damage was that Hela's already somewhat torn uniform became even more torn. Hela didn't care at all that her snow-white skin was unscrupulously scanned by Chen. Being beaten by Chen like this, the corners of her mouth instead had an evil smile. It's been a long, long time, and I haven't felt this way. Even the Valkyrie Legion back then was not her enemy. Looking at Hela's masochistic smile, Chen felt that she was crazier than Lingdi. Lingdi is the kind of invisible personality. She may not know it, the performance is not very obvious, or it is well hidden, and people need to take the initiative to find out. Hela is completely insane. She may not only like to abuse others, but also to be abused herself. I hope you can make me feel a little harder, weak atrium. Hela said domineeringly. Then her whole person rushed up from the ground, her speed was extremely fast, and she returned to Chen almost instantly. Her tricks are extremely weird and methodical. Hela is a master of swordsmanship, and she is particularly skilled in power in battle. In other words, a born warrior. So she was able to lead Asgard to conquer the 9 realms with few enemies to stop her. Because of this sword technique, she couldn't even look at the Mjolnir that Odin asked the dwarves to create, that is, Mjolnir. Originally, this was created for Hela to use, but Hela couldn't see it, so it was naturally passed to Thor, the god of thunder. But Chen is not a vegetarian either. Facing Hela's sword of the night sky, Chen reacted quickly and immediately dodged sideways. Hela also has follow-up attacks. She will never use her strength until she is old, and each move can be connected to the next, just like a combination punch in a boxing. The stormy attack makes the enemy tired of coping. For Hela, the best defense is attack. Although Kei Chen was under great pressure, he was not worried. He has the combat experience of Batman, the strongest martial arts master on Earth, proficient in 127 fighting arts around the world, and a weapons expert, using dark and cold weapons. Combat strength is a comprehensive, including physique, experience, and so on. All of these are indispensable. Only strong strength without combat skills and experience is equivalent to a child playing with a big gun. Can you understand? It's like General Zod, who came to Earth and only absorbed the sun for a few days, and was able to hang Clark in a short time. This is where combat experience comes in. If he didn't have rich combat experience, he would have been killed by Clark in seconds. For Kei Chen, Batman's rich combat experience is equivalent to laying a foundation for him. Even if his strength becomes stronger, he can still use these combat experiences to meet the enemy. Hela's crazy attack. Occasionally the sword of the night sky stabbed Kei Chen, but under the effect of the immortal body the wound recovered instantly. Although it is a little painful, it tempers the will. Serious punch. Seeing the opportunity, Kei Chen directly attacked Hela. His fist smashed into Hela's body, and Hela's sword of the night sky also pierced him. But his injuries recovered instantly, and Hela was directly punched away. That is, her Asgard physique is against the sky, or a god with a personality like the goddess of death, otherwise she will be directly destroyed by Kei Chen's punch. But even so, Hela, who flew out and didn't know how far away, still felt as if her bones were shattered. Fortunately, her recovery ability is extremely strong, and a small amount of Odin's power flashed on her body, which quickly recovered her injuries. "You are very strong," said Hela looking at Kei Chen, who appeared in front of her instantly. She finally understood why Kei Chen was able to quietly enter this dimensional space. Because he has great strength, even Odin cannot detect him. At this moment, it was Kei Chen's turn to pinch Hela's chin. "Surrender to me, woman." He pinched Hela's chin until she was looking at him. But Hela continued to say her words, looking at Kei Chen with a pair of eyes with a little maniac. "No one can conquer the goddess of death. Only I conquer everything." Kei Chen was sure that Hela was a madman. She has violent genes, and anything violent can attract her attention and will not stop conquering. Such a Hela challenge is extremely difficult, but if it succeeds. But there is an indescribable sense of satisfaction and accomplishment. People are a process of realizing self-worth, which can specifically reflect that what others cannot do, I can do, which can reap extremely powerful spiritual satisfaction. By doing these things, you can make yourself feel fulfilled. Therefore, there will be countless events of conquest, and people with noble and cold identities are more likely to arouse the desire for conquest. For example, teachers, superiors. I have to say that people who live in small days know this very well, perhaps because their society is full of dissatisfaction and oppression. That's why I like to fantasize about being anti-customer. At this time, Hela gave Kei Chen an unprecedented sense of challenge, and wanted to experience what it was like to feel a sense of accomplishment. Of course, this also depends on appearance and identity. If he was ugly, then Kei Chen would have been killed with a punch. Men are visual animals and only like beautiful. Satisfy you. Therefore, Kei Chen looked at Hela, who did not give in, waiting for her to recover from her injuries. He really wanted to go back in time and help Hela recover. But Hela fails to transcend time, and using this trick is to torture herself. Even if Hela recovers, he doesn't know that he has been knocked out by Kei Chen once. Instead, Kei Chen had a memory. They can only wait. Hela lay on the ground panting heavily, and the injuries on her body began to slowly recover. If in Asgard, the injury may only take a few seconds to recover. But unfortunately, this is the third dimension. It is not easy for Hela to be alive, and the power of Odin in the body cannot grow at all. Hela is an Asgardian, and as long as she gets closer to Asgard, the stronger she will become, and as long as she stays in Asgard, the stronger she will always become. It looks like a Kryptonian basking in the sun. The Asgardian setting is like this: the longer you live, the stronger you are. Therefore, in theory, God King Odin is now the real peak of strength, and the power of Odin in his body is extremely huge. so much so that he had to periodically enter Odin's sleep to comb the manic energy in his body. Another example is Hela. After leaving this dimension, she has enough energy to repair her tattered clothes. Thor, the god of thunder, was directly crushed by her, and Thor's hammer was crushed. It is not a level at all with the current Hela, and the current Hela does not have the blessing of Asgard, and its strength is infinitely weakened. After a while, Kei-chan looked at Hela, who stood up from the ground. Recovered. Hela didn't answer him, just looked at him with evil eyes and chose to do it again. Looking at Hela's tenacious and unyielding appearance, Kei-chan knew that this would be a protracted battle. At the very least, it is necessary to make her unyielding expression become yielding, so that it is possible to completely conquer her, or turn into humiliation. Kei-chan firmly believes that there are no people in this world who cannot be conquered. Unless you're not strong enough. The rules of the world are such that the weak follow the strong, and women follow men. This has been the case since ancient times. Hela's sword of the night sky split into countless pieces, like the infinite sword system, and the entire sky was a long sword. It's magic. Hela is also an extremely powerful magician, although she is also passionate about melee combat. Whether it is God King Odin or Queen Frigga, they will be extremely powerful magic. Odin's magic is the strongest in Asgard, and even Queen Norn admits it. Frigga is a wizard of Warnerheim, powerful enough to see what will happen in the future and then die generously. Hela, as the daughter of these two, is naturally not bad at magic. The Queen of Heaven, Frigga, is very good at cultivating people's magical powers. Later, the evil god Loki also had powerful magic, but people were a little stupid and only used illusions. In a certain timeline, the old Loki, who has lived for thousands of years, shows people what the first mage of the 9 realms is. Of course, this is praise, and his strength is indeed strong. But the first is clearly not up to it. As for why Thor, the god of thunder, is not a powerful mage, perhaps because he has a tendon. Hela's infinite sword system is very terrifying, and countless Asgardian defenders have been solved with this move. Once she was regarded as the successor by Odin, crushing Thor and Loki with strength. Kei-chan tried to dodge. But even if he uses teleportation, these night sky swords will fly towards him. Simply he directly used the heat line of sight to sweep. Countless swords of the night sky were destroyed, and occasionally injured him, but they also recovered instantly. Finally, Kei-chan simply opened the mirror space. He pulls himself and Hela into mirror space, where everything is under his control. You can fight as long as you want. Kei-chan used the terrain he controlled to look down at Hela. Such a look is extremely oppressive and will accelerate the collapse of the psychological defense line. Hela looked at Kei-chan in shock, but he didn't expect that he could even magic. This also aroused Hela's competitive spirit even more. There is darkness in dimensional space, even in mirror space. Kei-chan and Hela didn't know that they had fought countless times, and in this kind of battle, relying on their own immortal body, Kei-chan could not lose. Instead, it is necessary to control and not destroy Hela. After countless battles, Hela's expression finally changed. The look in her eyes when she looked at Kei-chan had long been less domineering, but there was an extra hidden gentleness. And every time Kei-chan injured her, there was an unnoticed pleasure. But Kei-chan also had to admit that Hela's strength was very strong. It's just that now she is too weak. Without the blessings of Asgard, it is like Kryptonians without the yellow sun. Hela's magic is extremely rich, unlike Loki's melee mage who can only magic. She can use energy beams, astral projections, and even illusions. It's just that these can't help Kei-chan. Hela has given up. Kei-chan was immortal, even if she tried her best to injure Kei-chan, but he recovered in an instant. This made Hela collapse. I don't know how many times Hela was defeated, and Hela half sat on the ground to recover her strength. In Asgard she has a lot of physical strength, but not here. Kei-chan was gentler this time, and did not pinch her chin to talk to her. Hela is a proud person, and it is better to actually kill her if she says the word, surrender, like this. Therefore, Kei-chan left a violent impression on Hela, but then suddenly changed his normal attitude and became extremely gentle. He rubbed Hela's face, smooth and bouncing. His eyes were like admiring a rare treasure. Moreover, Kei-chan did not let her surrender, but just asked, "Why are you here?" Then, Hela wouldn't answer. She was like a mute, fighting directly with Chen. But now, this sudden tenderness made Hela a little lost. Don't you know? She said it in a gentle voice before reacting, and her tone seemed to be a little wrong. Then he returned to normal and said, don't you know it's Odin? I don't know. Of course, Chen said that he didn't know. Because saying that you know will block Hela's words, you know it, what else do others say? The warm relationship that the two of them had finally risen up would instantly become cold. How do feelings come about? Talk out. Two people will only stare wide-eyed, even if they look good, they can't have feelings, at most, they will see each other. When Hela heard Chen's words, she was suddenly silent for a moment. Then, under Chen's gentle eyes, she finally couldn't help but speak. No one had ever looked at her like this in thousands of years, which made Hela a little panicked and felt her heart beat faster. It turns out that good women are also afraid of entanglement. A long, long time ago, I don't know how long has passed, there is no concept of time in this dimension. Hela spoke. What are you doing? She scolded, because Chen also sat beside her and held the injured her in her arms. Hela broke free, but without force, naturally she couldn't break free. This kind of embrace, so warm. Chen did not lift the mirror space. Under his control, the dimensional fragments sitting down wandered in the space like meteorites, and there were meteors in the sky from time to time. Go on, Chen said slightly domineeringly. Hela paused when she heard this, and the gentle disappearance made her feel a little uncomfortable and had to continue. I conquered the 9 realms with Odin. No one in the 9 realms could resist our steps, all the enemies were defeated by me, and in less than 100 years, we completely conquered the 9 realms, which no one had done before. The enslavement of countless races has created the fairy palace of Asgard, created the golden palace, and made Asgard a veritable god race. Hela recalled the past, and was also extremely proud. It was precisely because of this 9 realms war that Hela gave birth to ambition for the first time. Conquering the 9 realms is only the first step. We can integrate the forces of the 9 realms together, and we can enter the universe. There are 3 major empires in the universe, and I am confident that I can make the 9 realms the 4th largest empire, or even the only existence in the universe. Hela said her grand plan. Of course, this was thousands of years ago. Because at that time, when the 9 realms war, even Thor the god of thunder was not born. I have to say that Hela is the real strongman. Her ambition is to conquer the universe, who else is fiercer than her? But, Hela didn't seem to have spoken to anyone in a long time. At this time, the chatterbox was opened, and I suddenly had the desire to talk. Even if a cold and proud person has not spoken to anyone for thousands of years, I am afraid that there will be countless desires to confide, and Hela is no exception. She changed to a comfortable position and lay in Chen's arms, without talking about letting him go. Just after we successfully conquered the 9 realms, Odin seemed to suddenly change into a person. He told me that Asgard has become the co-master of the 9 realms, and should no longer start the war lightly and start a killing spree. Hela said, her voice indifferent. Of course I don't agree, this is only the first step in our plan back then. Conquering the 9 realms is just the beginning, and conquering the universe is the end of Asgard. Odin, the old thief, seemed to have forgotten that he was a tyrant, and suddenly told me that he was going to be a merciful king. The blood of all the races of the 9 realms stained on his hands is no less than mine. Chen calmed her, making Hela's anger seem to fall. Even after thousands of years, it still makes Hela unforgettable. She could clearly make Asgard more brilliant, but Odin's coward flinched. He was in a corner of the world, shrinking in the 9 realms as a god king, and did not dare to step into the battle for the hegemony of the universe. Why? Chen was also curious, why did Odin change so much? It is not difficult to see from Hela's description that Odin was definitely a brutal guy back then, definitely not like now, only one eye remained, and he still looked kind. Odin's ambition is great to make Hela like this. After all, there is a word called teaching by example. Odin raised Hela to be like this in order to fight for hegemony, but Odin suddenly changed. If his goal from the beginning was the 9 realms, he didn't have to shout such a big slogan. So something must have happened. I don't know. Hela shook her head and spoke. Asgard was collecting cosmic rough stones at that time. Do you know the cosmic rough? They were born from the Big Bang and scattered in all corners of the universe. There has always been this rumor in the universe, whoever can collect 6 rough stones can become the master of the universe. Hela said brightly. The cosmic rough stones are the infinity stones, and in the universe, there are always people looking for them. It's just that no one has ever been able to collect the infinity stones. Just like the age of exploration, people heard that there were countless pirate treasures on the sea, and I don't know how many enthusiastic young people stepped on the ocean just for this ethereal treasure. The difference is that the infinity stones really exist, not ethereal legends. And then, Chen is like the best listener. He doesn't talk much, but only guides Hela so that she has the desire to continue. When we conquered the 9 realms, we were preparing. Hela continued. He sent Valkyries between universes to find the whereabouts of the rough stone, which was not difficult for Asgard. Soon, Asgard found the power gem, the mind gem, the time gem, the space gem, and the reality gem. We use the power of space gems to create a rainbow bridge, and the reality gems are in the hands of the dark elves, and we easily defeated them. With the efforts of the Valkyrie Legion, the whereabouts of other gems were also quickly heard. Chen was a little shocked when he heard this. Odin's means are really not small. If he really did this, Asgard became the co-master of the 9 realms, and collected 6 infinity stones at the same time, which is enough to surpass the universe. Each race in the 9 realms is extremely powerful, such as the Warner god race of Warnerheim, which has been at war with the Asgardians back then, and if it were not for Frigga marrying and reconciling, the 2 races would be mortal enemies. There are also the elves of light in Yafheim. The elves of light are powerful, and if it were not for the peace-loving elves, there would be nothing to do with Asgard. And the giants of Jotunheim, the dark elves of Swiatefheim. If Odin possessed the infinity stones, then these races would not dare to disobey his orders. How powerful was the complete 9 realms? Chen looked at Hela with his eyes. He didn't expect Asgard to have such a past. This is also normal. Odin is a cruel lord. How can he suddenly become a harmless benevolent prince of humans and animals? There must be something going on in this that outsiders don't know. Hela continued. Knowing the whereabouts of the rough stone, Odin asked the dwarves to create an infinity gauntlet for him. The infinity gauntlet is a treasure that can completely control the power of the rough stone. Only the dwarves can create it. Asgard can conquer the 9 realms, and the dwarves' weapons are indispensable. The dwarves are true masters of forge, and at the same time have always been vassals of Asgard and very loyal. They help the Asgardians craft weapons that allow Asgard to conquer the 9 realms. Therefore, it was later exterminated by Thanos, and the dwarf king would be so angry when he saw Thor. The dwarves have always been good friends and vassals of Asgard, but Asgard turned a blind eye when disaster struck. This is simply the biggest betrayal. It wasn't until he learned that Asgard was gone that the dwarf king forgave Thor. Chen was stunned when he heard this. That is not surprising. The infinity gauntlet in Odin's treasure house is real. Now it seems that this is indeed the case. Hela did not say that the infinity gauntlet was fake at the time. It is quite possible that the infinity stones were fake. That's a true infinity gauntlet. This is also normal, and the treasures placed together with the infinity gauntlet are the frost giant's ice box, the flame giant's eternal flame, and the cosmic cube. Can it be put together with these 3 treasures? Can the infinity gauntlet be fake? As long as the 6 infinity stones are in hand, Asgard will be invincible. Hela seems to be immersed in the glory of yesteryear. Odin soon learned the whereabouts of the last gem from the Valkyrie, which was the soul gem. He didn't let anyone know the whereabouts of the gem, and he didn't take anyone else with him and went alone to find it. But he disappointed. Hela gritted her teeth and said, Odin failed to bring back the soul gem. He is like a changed person. It didn't take long for him to tell me not to look for the infinity stones anymore, and he collected the infinity gauntlet, and the infinity stones that he had collected with great difficulty were put back by him. He conquered the 9 realms, but suddenly stopped, which is too disappointing. Hela said with resentment. They were obviously only one step away from collecting the infinity stones, and Odin also found the whereabouts of the soul gems, but gave up just like that. Hela didn't know what was going on, but if it was her, she wouldn't give up for any reason. Of course, Chen could understand Hela's feelings. It's like facing a good road. When you are just about to step on the accelerator, the female companion on the side tells you to step on the brakes. How can you endure this? He thinks most people will follow their hearts and desperately step on the gas pedal instead of listening to others. Hela is like that, so she chooses to rebel, and she thinks Odin has gone crazy. If it wasn't crazy, how could such a huge transformation suddenly happen? But Kei Chen knew that Odin was actually ruthless. In terms of lash, Odin is still inferior to Thanos. After Thanos knew that in order to get the soul gem, he had to sacrifice the life of his loved one, and although he shed a few tears, he did not hesitate to sacrifice Gamora. Odin was obviously not so ruthless, and after hesitating, he chose to give up the soul gem, gave up the other gems he collected, and also gave up the heroic hegemony. The people he loved were none other than Frigga and Hela, but he was unwilling to give up on either of them. But Kei Chen couldn't rebuke Odin with Hela, because if it were him, he wouldn't want a soul gem. Have a Jill to use. Your own strength is the only one. The main thing, of course, is that he will not give up his wings. In this way, Odin still loves Hela. Maybe he's not a good god king, but he's a good father. If you think about it, Hela rebelled like this, Odin didn't kill her, Thor and Loki did that later, and Odin didn't do it. What a merciful god king. In the ancient times of Earth, Hela dared to rebel enough for her to die hundreds of times. But Odin just sealed her. So, you were locked up here by him? Kei Chen asked Hela in his arms. Hela had recovered and got up from Kei Chen's arms. It was as if she had become the goddess of death again, not a little woman. I told Odin that only I could lead Asgard to a better future, but he was not willing to pass on the throne of God King to me. Hela said flatly, as if she was telling an extremely normal thing. No one can have the same brain hole as her. I can only lead my legion of death in rebellion, but the Asgardians do not support me. Hela said with some resentment. No wonder she was so cruel to the people of Asgard later. Almost all those who dared to disobey her were killed by Hela. It stands to reason that if she wants to become a god king, she also needs the support of the people, and no matter how brutal a monarch is, it is impossible to kill all the people. But Hela did so, and it seems that the case is now solved. But think about it, how many normal Asgardians would support Hela's rebellion? Especially when Odin was in full swing. Perhaps after such a long period of war, the Asgardians also hated war. I was put in hell by Odin, and hundreds of years later I tried to escape, but he sent Valkyries to hunt me down. Hela sneered. The Valkyrie Legion was completely destroyed by me, but I myself was sealed here by Odin. Leaving Asgard, my divine power has declined, otherwise you think you are a rival to the goddess of death. Hela said very haughtily. Her strength was indeed not in its heyday, and it was weakened. But Kei Chen would not follow her. Just smiled and said, no matter when, you are going to be conquered by me, this is doomed. Quote. You. Hela listened to this and raised her arm, but did not move as before. She already knew that her current strength could not help Kei Chen. But she did not choose to surrender, and even if she acquiesced in her heart, she would not say it. If you want her to say these two words, you might as well kill her. This is called hard mouth. She looked at the mirror space and said, I didn't expect that the mages in the atrium also have such strength, no wonder Odin didn't let the Asgard army go to the atrium. Hela actually praised Kei Chen, and it seemed that her heart was also softer. Even a hard-hearted woman can't be soft-hearted all the time. Kei Chen also unlocked the mirror space at this time, and the two appeared in the dark dimensional space again. Hela was imprisoned here by Odin, at least for 1,000 or 2,000 years, and this place is more tortuous than Hela said hell. You can imagine how distorted her mentality will be. Therefore, after she leaves here, it is normal for her to completely blacken. The goddess of death was just a militant who wanted to conquer the universe. But he was forced by Odin to become a madman. Kei Chen was puzzled. Asgard didn't fight in the atrium. Odin said there was no need, Midgard has always been Asgard's domain. Hela said lightly. Kei Chen shook his head, it was definitely not so simple. To put it bluntly, the strength of the earth is too strong. As the center of the 9 realms, how could the earth seem so simple? For example, the native god of the earth, Zeus of the Greek god system, he is not inferior to Odin's existence. As for why he was almost killed by Thor, the god of thunder, who knows? Hela looked at Kei Chen at this time and said, I have to remind you that you'd better leave this dimension quickly. Otherwise, if Odin finds out, what do you guess will happen? Kei Chen frowned when he heard this. If Odin found out that someone was hooking up with his imprisoned daughter, he would definitely go crazy. Odin was too afraid that Hela would escape. The old Odin has lost his ambition and just wants to spend his last days in peace. Therefore, knowing that Ragnarok was approaching, Odin chose to die on his own initiative. Norse mythology is a tragedy because it has countless prophecies. The most famous is Ragnarok, in which Thor the god of thunder prophesied, Hela, the goddess of death, Loki, and the flame giant Solil are the protagonists. There have to be a few of them. The tragedy is that no matter how much the Asgardian people fight fate and what efforts they make, they cannot change the fate of Asgard, and Ragnarok is a sure thing to happen. The peculiarity of Norse mythology is that the gods were born doomed to their destruction. That's why the flame giant Solil said that the destruction of Asgard was his mission. How can all this end without completing the mission? Odin, who knew the prophecy, decisively chose to rot, letting Thor, the god of thunder, face Ragnarok, and he chose to follow Frigga. To put it bluntly, I just don't want to face Ragnarok. Otherwise, with Odin's strength, it would be very easy to survive. But he was tired and chose to escape. This is the elderly Odin, an escapist. If he knows that Hela will get out of trouble in advance, he will definitely not give Kei Chen good fruit to eat. Looking at Kei Chen's pensive look, Hela couldn't help but laugh. What are you laughing at? Kei Chen asked immediately, wanting to catch her. But Hela has recovered and does not want to be caught by Kei Chen again. She dodged directly and sneered. You won't be able to leave here, right? Kei Chen smiled and said, as long as I become the master of this dimension, I can leave. Hela didn't expect to get her right. It's impossible. She sneered and said, this is Odin's dimension, how can you snatch it down? However, Kei Chen just glanced at the imprint on the back of his hand. The dimensional imprint sparkles, and it is determined that this is an ownerless dimension. What if I say it's an ownerless dimension? Therefore, Kei Chen looked at Hela and said with a smile. Hela frowned when she heard this. Impossible. She didn't directly trust Kei Chen. You just need to tell me how to completely control this dimension. Kei Chen asked. Find the key to a dimension, and then fuse it to become the master of this dimension. Hela was not satisfied with Kei Chen's tone, but was subdued, and still snorted coldly. Don't dream, if it's the masterless dimension, it has long been mastered by me, and it's your turn. Odin just wants to detain me for the rest of my life, and when I find a way to get out, I will definitely kill him. She speaks with anger and an endless grudge against Odin. Although Odin is her father and has the gift of childbearing, he has been imprisoned for so long, and there is no kindness, only hatred. What are you looking at me for? After Hela finished speaking, she saw Kei Chen's eyes staring at her. Kei Chen looked at the back of his hand, the imprint kept flickering, telling him that Hela in front of him was the key. This means that if you conquer Hela, you can master this dimension. But Hela didn't even know. Let's make a deal. Kei Chen had a smile on the corner of his mouth. It's a two-pronged thing. You can get Hela and become the Lord of Dimensions. What deal? Hela asked with a frown. She realized that something was wrong, and Kei Chen looked at her eyes as if he was looking at prey. It was as if Kei Chen knew something. We cooperate. Kei Chen walked in front of her slowly, like a big bad wolf approaching the little white rabbit, always careful before pounce. Oh, Hela seemed a little interested. I can help you conquer Asgard together and get back what you want. Kei Chen said slowly, such as, God King. Quote, God King Hela, how's it going? Kei Chen's words ignited Hela's ambition. He is a cake master. If you still want to conquer the universe by then, we can fight the universe together, and I know the whereabouts of the Infinity Stones. The two of us will become the most powerful people in the universe. Kei Chen, who said this, felt that he was a natural devil. No wonder the system wanted to give him a dimensional imprint, it turned out to see through his essence. It's the devil, not the devil. Demons are violent conquests that can be done without saying a word. The devil is not the same. What the devil is good at is seducing, letting others sell their souls unconsciously, and if he sells them, he has to count the money for him. Hearing Kei Chen's words, Hela was really moved. If a weak person told her such a thing, of course Hela would not listen to it. But Kei Chen is different. Kei Chen had already subdued her, although it was not a complete conquest. It is not easy to conquer Hela because she is too proud. So what do you want? Hela calmed down and asked. You. Kei Chen looked at Hela and said, I just want you. The two of us are united together, and the 9 realms are within reach. Devil Kei Chen continued. He certainly wouldn't tell Hela that the key was herself. Otherwise, Hela would definitely turn her face. Having been defeated by him so many times, Hela's existence could not be convinced. It is difficult to conquer Hela, but it is also very simple, that is, you must always be better than her and be able to crush her all the time. This way Hela will be happy. Once she finds a chance to turn over, Hela may make trouble. After all, she is different from Lingdi. Lingdi does not have much ambition, but Hela is an ambitious person. How can a woman who is inspired to be a god king easily surrender? If she is easily conquered, then she is not a god king, but a god queen. Therefore, if Hela knew that the key to the dimension was on her, Kei Chen would probably be trapped here all the time. Of course, Kei Chen would not bet on whether Hela would let him go, and could only lie to Hela. After all, he had to think about Lorna, Paige, and Susan. He had been fighting Hela for so long, and he didn't know how long had been outside. In case Hela is trapped here, it is good to say that the things obtained by signing in can leave. If they can't leave, I'm afraid they will have to wait until Odin dies. You may not even be able to get out all the time. Because Hela will become the Lord of Dimensions, she has been looking for it for thousands of years. The only safe way is for Kei Chen to become the master of this dimension. By the way, Hela took it first, and Hela can do whatever she wants in the future. He just needs to be better than Hela all the time. Hela hesitated. Her eyes were covered by bangs, and she looked at Kei Chen with a little madness. If you dare to lie to me, I will definitely not spare you. Even if I can't kill you, I'll always torture you. Hearing Hela's compromising words, Kei Chen walked over with a smile and slowly hugged her. Hela resisted a little, and almost stabbed a sword into Kei Chen's body. But in the end, I held back. If Kei Chen can really help her, then they can really be invincible. At least these 9 realms are theirs. It's just that in terms of who is in charge, Hela feels that it needs to be explored. Hela is clear that it's all about profit. Of course, there is also a trace of good feelings for Kei Chen, otherwise she would not compromise. But all this is not what needs to be discussed now. Kei Chen and her were getting closer and closer. Rip and pull. The Asgardians are very strong, and Hela looks tall, but in fact weighs more terribly. Therefore, Kei Chen had to be careful. He didn't want to use the immortal body. Hela's stamina, adaptability and every aspect is incomparably strong. Kei Chen didn't know how long had passed. After the war, Hela is still in good spirits. Your body is too weak. Hela had a hint of charm before. What Kei Chen didn't expect was that Hela had not been exposed to any sacred rituals before. So it cheapened him and let him start this ritual that had been in the dust for thousands of years. But Hela is also right, the physique of the Earthlings is indeed weaker than that of other races in the universe. Go on. Hela is clearly a battle freak. The Asgardians were not as chaotic as the Greek gods. If Hela were a Greek god, it would probably not have been a chick, and it is not known who made it. Compared to Odin, Zeus is simply a beast. Fortunately, Hela is the goddess of death in Asgard, so she can cheapen Ketchen. Hela looked at Kei Chen lazily. She still didn't know what was happening. She had to use her divine power to repair the battlesuit that had been torn apart by Kei Chen. You don't have to fix it so quickly, Kei Chen said with a smile. However, Hela only gave him a blank look. This is my reward to you, don't be ignorant. Listening to Hela's arrogant words, Kei Chen just smiled. After all, it was his person, and it didn't matter if Hela saved a little dignity. Anyway, Hela had already lost face before. Didn't you call me His Royal Highness the God King? Kei Chen said with a smile. Stop. Hela glared at him, who had just been coerced by Kei Chen and said the wrong thing. It was actually remembered by Kei Chen. Kei Chen didn't say more, but looked at the mark on the back of his hand. The imprint of the dimension has turned into blacklight. As long as he completely merges, he will instantly become the master of this dimension. What is it? Hela looked at the mark on the back of Kei Chen's hand and faintly felt that it was not good. This is the key to the dimension. Kei Chen no longer hid it at this time. What's going on? Hela looked at Kei Chen with a pair of eyes as if she wanted to eat people. It's good that I didn't tell her just now, otherwise Hela would definitely not compromise. Kei Chen mastered the initiative, naturally he would not be afraid of Hela. If eyes could kill, he would have been killed countless times by women. I also just learned that the key to the original dimension has always been on you, that is, you, Hela. Kei Chen said. Hela suddenly felt like a lightning strike. She gave things to Kei Chen like that. Definitely on purpose. Hela looked at Kei Chen and gritted her teeth. You lied to me. I didn't lie to you. Kei Chen said. When I have enough strength, what I said before will be fulfilled. He made a guarantee. After all, he is not a scumbag, and his words definitely count. It's just that he must ensure that his strength has always been stronger than Hela and cannot fall into the downside. In the dimension, because of the distance from Asgard, Hela's strength is not the peak. If she goes out, it may not be necessary, maybe it will be anti-customer oriented. Why? Hela shouted, and a sword stabbed towards Kei Chen. Kei Chen let her hit herself. If that makes you feel better, feel free. He won't die anyway. Hela drew the sword of the night sky and frantically shouted "Why" to the dimensional sky, while also shouting Odin's name. Obviously, she didn't ask Kei Chen why, but Odin. Since Odin wants to imprison her, why give her the dimension? The control of the partial dimension is on her, but Hela herself has never known it. Looking at the almost crazy Hela, Kei Chen knew that it would take her a while to calm down. There is nothing that time cannot pass by. Suddenly, Kei Chen felt a little guilty and felt that Hela was a little pitiful. I'll help you become the God King of Asgard and give you everything you want. Kei Chen spoke, but Hela didn't listen to him at all. He sighed, and the dimensional imprint power on the back of his hand frantically poured into his body. In an instant, his body turned black. Black energy surged through his body. At this moment, Kei Chen's personality was promoted. He can feel that in this dimension, he is omnipotent. In his dimension, no one can defeat him. The strength of the dimensional demon god is limited by the size of the dimension. That's why Dormammu keeps gobbling up other dimensions. This dimension is not large, but even the weakest dimension demon god is also a demon god. Kei Chen felt the power surging in his body, and his physical fitness improved rapidly. But even so, he felt the limits of the human body on him. The human body really can't fully exert the power of dimensions. No wonder Mum would choose not to be human. But Kei Chen was not controlled by the power in his heart, and his desire for power was not as good as that. With a check-in system, Kei Chen never worries that he will have no strength. That's his bottom line. Therefore, the idea of not being a human being was completely abandoned in his heart without lasting even a second. Perhaps this is the power of the laser bottle. Is this the dimensional demon god? Kei Chen felt the power of doing whatever he wanted, looked at Hela below, and showed a hee-hee laugh. At this time, Hela already felt tired, suddenly noticed something, and looked up and glanced at him. He immediately gave an evil smile. Kei Chen smiled. Hela was unexpected. In the resplendent fairy palace, Odin sat on the throne, looking angrily at Thor and Loki. He was bent on grooming Thor to become a crown prince, but Thor became a reckless man. To do anything, will not use his brain, but will only rely on his own brute force, thinking that force can solve everything. Thor is like a charging general, not a king. The ability he showed was not even as good as Hela's back then. Thor and Loki lowered their heads, not daring to face Odin. They just made a big mistake. But there was nothing to be afraid of, and Odin forgave them more than once. That's why they keep teaching. Thor, Loki, you have repeatedly disobeyed the will of the king of the gods. Odin hated to look at Thor without steel, and Thor had no repentance, which made Odin powerless for a while. He only had one feeling: this trumpet was also abolished. When Hela's big trumpet was abandoned, he still had time to cultivate a small trumpet. But when I thought about it, the trumpet was also scrapped. The most important thing is that Odin has no time to cultivate a new trumpet and can only rely on Thor. As for Loki, although Odin would like to treat them equally, how could he pass the throne of Asgard to the descendants of the frost giants? Frigga patted Odin on the back to stop being so angry. The merciful queen always indulged her children, and she didn't think there was anything wrong with such Thor. They're just kids. Frigga spoke. A child who has lived for 1,000 years. Odin said angrily. Although Asgardians have an incomparably long lifespan, 1,000 years is considered youth. But this Thor and Loki behaved less like a child. Naive, ignorant, one only knows how to use brute force, the other plays ridiculous schemes. Wait for Ragnarok, and you must not be played to death by Hela. Just as Odin was thinking like this, he suddenly felt that the dimension of Hela's detention had changed. What man? What's wrong? Frigga asked worriedly. Odin and she looked at each other and made a lip sync. Hela. Frigga's eyes widened as well. Could it be that Hela has discovered the key to the dimension? Odin shook his head and then told Frigga to take Thor and Loki down. Thor and Loki were puzzled, but relieved. Finally, don't be scolded. You two, it's time to grow up. Frigga looked at her two children lovingly and sighed. The two didn't say anything at all, didn't feel that they had a problem. Mother, it's the father, he's too cowardly. Thor spoke. Frigga shook her head when she heard this. How could Odin be cowardly? It was because Odin's invincibility left a deep impression in her mind that she agreed to marry Odin and quell the war between Asgard and Warnerheim. At this time, Thor's 4 attendants also walked over. Walking in front is the goddess of war of Asgard, Sif. In the immortal palace, Odin walked to his treasure house. Zig, a striking armor was suddenly activated and took the initiative to come to Odin's side. Out of nowhere, a spear flew over and was held by Odin in his hand. Slopness, Odin shouted into the distance. Hela had to repair her suit with her few divine powers. Her eyes were full of indifference when she looked at Kei-chen. Want to go out? Kei-chen looked at Hela and asked. Hela had decided not to speak, but couldn't help hearing this. Think. Under Kei-chen's playful eyes, Hela said in humiliation. She dreamed of getting out of here. Wait a while. Kei-chen said with a smile. You fooling me. Hela suddenly glared at him. No, it's because Odin is here. Kei-chen spoke, and the figure suddenly disappeared. Boom. Suddenly, the dimensional space was directly broken through a huge hole by a meteor. After opening the space, the meteor immediately turned into a spear and flew back into the hands of the comer. Odin wears the armor of the destroyer, holds the eternal spear Gungnir, and the mount is the 8-legged horse Sleipness. Seeing his position, Hela also knew that Odin was fully armed. The destroyer warframe was made in order to resist the celestial god group. Odin, Zeus and other earth gods used Ulu god gold to create the destroyer warframe, and the earth gods all poured their own power into the destroyer warframe. This allowed Odin to put on the destroyer armor and barely have the power to fight the celestial gods, although the final solution did not change. The eternal spear is a divine weapon created by the dwarves. It has the attribute of necessity. Once thrown, it will definitely hit the target and return to the owner. When Asgard goes to war, Odin will be the first to throw the eternal spear, which represents the beginning of the war. The Asa and Warner gods, as well as the war with the ice giants, were all fought first by Odin. When Odin throws this gun, it emits a bright light that cuts through the sky, which people on the ground call lightning. There is also a saying that, shooting stars. In Norse mythology, the vow made to the eternal spear will be fulfilled. Slapness, as its name suggests, is the 8-legged steed, and it was the mount that Odin used to conquer the 9 realms. The 8-legged steed can not only cross the sky but even enter the underworld, the best horse in the world, the fastest horse. Odin looked at Hela below imposingly. Is Hela the only one? His eyes were full of anger, because he sensed that there was already a master in this dimension. This made Odin feel like he had lost his daughter and broke the army. Hela was apparently obtained by a mysterious person, and maybe there was an ulterior deal. Who is it? Odin's only remaining left eye was fixed on Hela. Hela stood on the ground and looked up at the furious Odin. She suddenly stopped getting angry. Seeing Odin so angry, Hela only felt extremely happy. Kei-chen left, although he didn't take her, but Hela could understand it. Heimdall's eyes could see any corner of the 9 realms, and his ears could hear all the sounds of the 9 realms. Even if Hela leaves this dimension, she still can't escape Asgard's pursuit. Unless they have the power to counter Odin. It's my husband. Hela said with a happy smile on her face. He'll help me take back Asgard, fear, Odin. She said and opened her arms, and a crown appeared on her head. Odin was so angry that he almost couldn't hold the eternal spear in his hand. Then Odin didn't say a word, and directly threw out the weapon in his hand. Gunganir. The eternal spear turned into a shooting star and flew towards Hela. Hela immediately resisted. She is naturally not Odin's opponent, but she is Odin's daughter. Therefore, Hela knelt on one knee, her body was full of wounds, and Odin still couldn't get a hard hand. Tell me, who he is. Odin's one-eyed eye looked at Hela. Phew. Hela spat out a little blood from her mouth. She looked at Odin frantically, and the angry Odin made her feel that everything was enough. In fact, she didn't know much information about Chen. It is only known that he is an Atrium man. Odin angrily raised the eternal spear, desperate to kill Hela. But in the end, decadently lowered his raised hand. Tiger poison does not eat seeds. If he was going to give up Hela, he would have done it for the soul gem. The ambitious Odin did not choose to do so, and the now old Odin could not make such a decision. He grabbed Hela and left the dimension directly with Hela. At this moment, I don't know where Hela is going to be locked up. When Odin returned to Asgard, he saw a worried Frigga, and suddenly felt extremely tired. I'm going into Odin's sleep, Odin said to Frigga. The power of Odin in his body was already extremely disordered, and the huge and manic power seemed to be about to crush him. Too much energy is sometimes not a good thing. It's like Odin, too powerful Odin's power, so that he has to go into Odin's sleep to calm them, and if he doesn't, he becomes very weak. Hela, Frigga asked, full of concern. It's okay. Odin sighed, but Hela stilled him off. Otherwise, Odin's power would not be so disordered. The only thing he was worried about now was what kind of existence was the person Hela was talking about. It's exciting. Chen returned to Earth with excitement on his face. This feeling is like getting Hela under Odin's nose. Then at the scene where Odin was about to be caught, he immediately left. Naturally, he would not face Odin now. After all, the rivers and lakes are not fighting and killing, they are human love. Hela is Odin's daughter, he is at best a son-in-law, and the pressure he faces is definitely different. At this moment, a portal opened next to him. Furuchi, who had a smile on his face, stepped out of the portal. How exciting, she looked at Chen and asked. Chen suddenly looked at her reflective head. It's really rude. Ji Yuyi suddenly coughed twice. God King Odin's strength is unfathomable, stronger than most dimensional demon gods. She reminded Chen. Chen was too bold to snatch the dimension from Odin. What about Bidamamu? Chen asked immediately. On par, Ji Yuyi said lightly. Dormammu once claimed that he was as strong as Odin and Zeus. It is stronger as, not stronger than. You can imagine how strong Odin's strength is. As for Zeus, or forget it. Chen nodded suddenly, still having to keep a low profile. In case Odin comes to the door, it will be embarrassing. Go talk to Jean, Ji Yuyi said to Chen. Of course, Chen agreed. Anyway, it's been so long away, it's nothing to be a day or two late. Furuchi was really afraid of the blackening of the piano. But Fan Chin's mood is a little abnormal, and she will come to Chen to help. She found that Jean was most dependent on Chen and trusted her the most. Because it was Chen who helped Chin find Ji Yuyi in the first place. Although it was Koichi who appeared on his own. It was because of this relationship that Chen became the person Chin trusted the most, knowing that he would not hurt himself. Even Professor X couldn't gain Jean's trust. Coupled with the fact that Chin had nothing to say to Chen, Ji Yuyi felt that one of Chin's hearts was on Chen. It's just that Chen doesn't dare to stimulate Chin. Afraid that she will not be able to control her power. After Chin saw Chen, she really became extremely happy, and she seemed to have endless words. Ji Yuyi, an outsider, could only leave. I'm almost getting the hang of it. Chin said proudly to Chen. Oh, Chen looked at the Chin, and the shadow of the phoenix immediately flashed on her body. It's just that the power of the phoenix is not as manic as before, it seems milder, and it has a steady stream of vitality. The power of the phoenix looks as if it is alive, with cosmic feelings. Chen was amazed, and then put his hand behind his back. Jean, for you. When he put his hand in front of him again, he had an extra bouquet of roses in his hand. This is Chen's ability to influence reality using the dimensional demon god. Chin could see it at a glance, but he was still extremely happy, and the whole person hugged Chen tightly. It made Chen almost suffocate. After chatting with Chin for a while, Chen returned home. Everyone was happy about his return. Because he went this way, he disappeared directly for several months. In the dimension, there is no concept of time, and Kei Chen only knows no more than 1 year. I haven't seen it for a few months, so naturally Xiao Beisheng is newly married. After Kei Chen became a dimensional demon god, his physical fitness was greatly enhanced by energy. It can be said that the 3 days of farewell should be impressive. Kill enemies that could not be solved before, and lose their armor. All of them knelt in front of them, leading their necks to suffer. Kei Chen felt the benefits of physique. But there are still some restrictions, unable to exert the full strength of the dimensional demon god. No wonder Mamu is not a person. Host: Kei Chen. Personality: dimensional demon god. Items: life-sharing necklace, mother, fountain of eternal life, Wonder Woman's mantra lasso. Abilities: Batman's combat ability, hot vision, motherland version, telepathy, teleportation ability, mirror space, immortal body, serious punch, time back. The dimensional imprint has been consumed and completely left on the back of the hand. He has one more personality and becomes a true dimensional demon god. Kei Chen, who was full of strength, maneuvered comfortably in 4 locations. Own home, Hellfire Club, and May and Susan's home. For a few months, nothing major changed. Susan has made a name for herself. Her ability is simply dimensionality reduction in places like New York. Everyone in Hell's Kitchen would change their face when they heard her name. Therefore, she gradually increased the title of Invisible Woman. In addition to her, there is also a Fantastic 3. The Stone Man, Ben, is Reed's good brother and even had a crush on Susan before, and as a result, Susan ran away with Ketchen. Let the 2 people want to cry without tears, and become brothers with the same illness. Susan's younger brother Johnny, Susan did not care about him, he naturally mixed with Reed. They are all such big people, to have their own lives. Susan's life is placed here in Ketchen, and there is no time to pay attention to her younger brother. In addition, Susan still goes to work and lives a full life. On May's side, Peter Parker has grown up again, and he has walked very steadily, and in a few years, he will be sent out to study. Over the years, May treated Peter as her own child. Because she and Kei Chen have been pregnant for so long. But with Peter there, she didn't feel it mattered. So she didn't think about who it was. Uncle Ketchen. Peter looked at Kei Chen and shouted, resisting at first, but now he is very skilled. Peter is about to grow up. Kei Chen held May and said. May didn't speak, just breathed his breath greedily. She was like a haven, always making Kei Chen can't help but stop and rest. Here in May, Kei Chen can feel the tranquility and comfort that has been lost for a long time. May has the intellect of a mature woman, and she is very supportive and adoring of everything about Kei Chen. If he wanted to get married, Kei Chen would definitely choose a mature May without saying a word, but unfortunately he never had this idea. Americans are like that, as long as they don't get married, they can play casually. Young people don't know how good their sister is, and they mistake girls for treasures. The Hellfire Club is set in stone. As an organization that has existed for so long, everything about it has long been determined, and even if there is a major personnel change, it will not have any impact on the club. Therefore, it makes no difference at all whether Kei Chen is there or not. He enjoyed the power and benefits that the Hellfire Club gave him, and all he paid for was to maintain it. If the Hellfire Club suffered a catastrophe one day, it would be when Kei Chen was about to strike. It's inevitable, like any deal. The transaction is something that both parties have to pay, and there is no winner-take-all saying, it is a win-win situation. Only brother A-san doesn't talk about the rules. Ah-san made money and Ah-sanhua, and they wanted to take it home. When you are still thinking about the money in the pockets of the people of Ah-san, A-san is already thinking about your pockets. And before this, Kei Chen would not do anything. The only thing that is of some interest is the Brotherhood of Mutants. Because Lorna intends to revive the mutant society, under the leadership of Magneto, the world is looking for new mutants to join the Brotherhood of Mutants. Of course, they also need to change their course. With the world searching, the Brotherhood of Mutants has indeed achieved great results. Mutants have to be caught from an early age. They can't wait until they have suffered and become socially hateful to join the Brotherhood of Mutants. After all, the Brotherhood of Mutants is no longer simply about controlling the world. Under Lorna's leadership, they began to pursue equality with humans like the X-Men. In fact, this is a very good thing to solve. As long as time passes, all kinds of righteousness will permeate American society. For example, racism, a movie to bring a black man, what shit black mermaid, black and white snow princess. For example, feminism, if you say something wrong and put a misogynistic hat on you, you are completely finished. There are even calls for men to ban women's sports. In the future, everyone wants to fold buffs for themselves, and the more buffs are stacked, the greater the benefits. The word discrimination has become extremely dazzling, and anything can give people the label of discrimination. After that, discrimination against mutants cannot appear. But whenever someone discriminates against mutants, it is not much better to press them with correctness than to blindly fight. Blacks want privileges, women want privileges, mutants can't ask for privileges. Of course, this is just K. Chen's idea, and how to do it depends on the mutants. Professor X's ability to fool is so powerful that it will definitely work wonders for him to give speeches all over the United States. After all, this is a magical country, madmen can be presidents, Alzheimer's can be presidents. The Brotherhood of Mutants has a lot more young mutants. Probably only about 10 years old. But for them, teenage years already seem very mature. K. Chen saw an Asian girl, about 1 meter 6 or 5 meters tall. She had long magenta hair, black eyes, and dark pupils were invisible. She is a bit like an elf, with a bit of reddish skin, pointy ears, and tattoo-like marks on her face. But this mark is not as deep as a birthmark, and it is also very good-looking. "What's your name?" K. Chen stopped and asked. "My name is Clarice." The girl still seemed shy and afraid of life, so K. Chen asked her, and she was immediately extremely nervous, and then stammered, "My ability is a portal." A smile appeared on K. Chen's face. He smiled and said, "Everyone here has a code name, and from now on, your code name will be Flash." Clarice didn't refuse, in fact she had no room to refuse. Under everyone's gaze, all she could do was nod and accept the title of Twinkle. This title will accompany her for the rest of her life. K. Chen was in a good mood, but he didn't expect that the flicker was found by the Mutant Brotherhood. Clarice is of Asian descent and looks very similar to Washa's international fan, which K. Chen can see at a glance. It's a pity that it's still too young, and K. Chen doesn't want to start in 3 years. Clarice's treatment made the other new mutants envious. Immediately, another Asian girl bravely jumped out and said to K. Chen, "This adult, I also want a code name." She was a little nervous, but still looked at K. Chen bravely. Others also looked at K. Chen, wanting to know how K. Chen dealt with it. "What's your name?" K. Chen and Yan Yu asked. "My name is Jubilai Li." The girl said a mouthful name. "Then your name is Li Qianwan." K. Chen said with a smile. Li Qianwan has short hair and looks like a tomboy. Although others don't know who K. Chen is, being followed by the bigwigs of the Mutant Brotherhood is definitely not a mortal. Therefore, the new joiners all wanted to see K. Chen, but K. Chen did not pay attention to them all. Just gave a white-haired girl the code name Rakshasa Girl, also known as Little Naughty. Subsequently, K. Chen ignored it. It's a great effect. K. Chen didn't expect the Mutant Brotherhood to be so ruthless. But this is also normal, and mutants with a little ability are easy to spot. Now that the Brotherhood of Mutants will take the initiative, it will be convenient to bring it back. Their education cannot be left behind, at least not illiterate. K. Chen opened his mouth and said, he didn't need to take care of the rest. Twinkle and Naughty, their mutant abilities are not yet too proficient, but there are people here who can help them. That's why mutants need to find an organization, and there is no one outside to teach them how to master their abilities. K. Chen immediately looked at how these mutants found them. Li Qianwan originally had a good family, but there was an accident, both parents died, and he had become a thief before, but fortunately he was found by the Mutant Brotherhood. The little naughty Anna Marie ran away from home because of rebellion, but was met by the people of the Brotherhood of Mutants and brought back. If she wasn't found by the Brotherhood of Mutants, she would be found by the X-Men. Twinkle Clarice is in a similar situation. Anyway, they are very miserable people. Fortunately, the Mutant Brotherhood has changed, and if it were still the Mutant Brotherhood controlled by Magneto, they would be even worse. K-Chen raised his head. In addition to Lorna and Paige, there were Magneto, Dr. Doom and others. The Brotherhood of Mutants is already taking shape. Of course, this is controlled by Lorna, and K-Chen will not care. It's just that everyone knows that if Lorna is the apparent leader of the Mutant Brotherhood, then K-Chen is the man behind Lorna. Just then, someone came in to report. "Chief, the X-Men are here." Hearing his report, everyone stood up. The X-Men and the Brotherhood of Mutants are old rivals. After all, Professor X and Magneto have always loved and killed each other. Magneto snorted coldly. "Charles must have seen that we took so many young mutants and came to find trouble." Quote, "Originally, only Charles's Xavier Genius Academy was recruiting young mutants. Now that the Brotherhood has done the same, it is natural to come and ask for an explanation. Professor X is afraid that Lao Wan will lead these children astray." Everyone walked out together. Outside the Brotherhood, Professor X is pushed by the laser eye, and there are mutants such as Storm Girl, Beast Hank, and Witch Raven next to him. "Are you?" Professor X saw that K-Chen was also there, and immediately wondered. Lorna hugged and walked out and said, "The Mutant Brotherhood is mine, is there something wrong?" Professor X glanced at Magneto Eric and then at Lorna. When he saw Lorna's abilities, it was like seeing Magneto. "I didn't expect to meet again, Magneto has already worked for Lorna." Opening his mouth, Professor X said, "You shouldn't have taken so many companions with you." Quote, "X Academy has better educational resources and more experience to teach them well so that they don't go astray. Please let us take them." Chapter 91. Professor X only felt that it had become difficult to recruit, and it was difficult to find mutants outside. "At first, I didn't know what was going on, but later I learned that the Brotherhood of Mutants was also looking for someone. Therefore, he could only bring someone over and ask for it. If the X-Men don't look for new people, they will not be able to pick up." "Impossible." Lorna shook her head when she heard this. "Our Brotherhood is no longer the same as before. What we are seeking now is to coexist with ordinary people, take the route of peaceful coexistence, and build a better world together," Lorna said bluntly according to the words given by K-Chen. No one can refute such beautiful words. She said that the Mutant Brotherhood had changed, and Professor X couldn't refute it directly, right? "We need this fresh blood, and we need people to teach them." K-Chen stood up and said that Lorna still needs to practice well. This kind of thing requires experience, and apparently she is inexperienced enough to fool Professor X's old fritters. Maybe in turn it will be fooled by Professor X. K-Chen looked directly at the witch and made a beckoning gesture to her. "Ruiwen, believe me, I have found a path suitable for mutants. There is no need to fight to the death with humans, we can occupy the moral high ground. There is a saying that is very classic. Do you see who fired the shot? I can't see clearly. He stands on the moral high ground, he is in the sun. To put it bluntly, it is public opinion, and wherever public opinion falls, people follow. Whoever public opinion points to, the people will hit." Ruiwen was immediately moved when she heard K-Chen's words. Over the years, she has worked with Magneto's Brotherhood of Mutants, and found that Magneto's methods are too radical, and mutants can never be masters of Earth. So she went back to the X-Men, but Professor X's approach also upset her. Blindly tolerating can't bring any change to mutants. Therefore, the witch Ruiwen was confused and more indifferent. Now hearing K-Chen's words, his heart was immediately shaken. "Trust me, Raven," K-Chen said like a devil again. Professor X also thought that he used telepathy, but soon discovered that K-Chen did not use his ability. "Raven," Professor X suddenly shouted, which actually woke Ruiwen up. She turned to Professor X and said, "I want to try." Saying that, she walked directly to K-Chen's side, representing her position. Professor X Charles was dumbfounded. He came to ask for someone, and he ended up taking his own people in. Although he had long known that the witch Ruiwen was a little dissatisfied with his approach. But unexpectedly, Ruiwen was directly shaken. Professor X suddenly became a little decadent. "Actually, we can work together, Professor." K-Chen looked at Professor X and said, "Mutants are already few people, and if they are still scattered into multiple forces, they will never be able to win." However, Professor X shook his head and said, "Everyone has their own ideas, and no one can change anyone." He said meaningfully, he had tried to do the same, but Magneto disagreed. Everyone has their own way of doing things, and it can't be exactly the same. Now the X-Men and the Brotherhood are the same. K-Chen said with a smile. Then we can try. Professor X hesitated, then said. Magneto sighed. He didn't really want to make peace with humans, but he also knew that he was already a loser. Professor Charles does what he says, and he allows the mutants of the Brotherhood to learn together. Otherwise, with the education level of the Brotherhood, at most teach these young people as elementary school students, and then there will be no way. After all, they have always been passionate about struggle, not education. In terms of education, it is clear that Professor X is better at it. Professor X and K-Chen discuss the so-called moral high ground. Hearing K-Chen's thoughts, he couldn't help but be silent. Is this okay? But just listening, he felt that the feasibility was high. Because only discrimination can defeat discrimination, and only magic can defeat magic. Polar Bear, in the midst of ice and snow, a huge sky aircraft carrier slowly ascended from the ground. After entering the 21st century, all major powers are studying how to send aircraft carriers to the sky, that is, the so-called sky aircraft carrier, the real giant. So that the plane can have a takeoff and landing place in the sky, without necessarily going to a ground airfield. S.H.I.E.L.D. is studying, and so is the Red House. It's just that with the collapse of the Red Empire, the funds for the Red House have become less and less. In terms of capital, the Red House cannot be compared with S.H.I.E.L.D. But they succeeded. Although the size of this sky aircraft carrier is small, if compared to the one that S.H.I.E.L.D. is studying, it is at least half the size. However, the hairy bear people sent the sky aircraft carrier to the sky before the old beauty. Although this is a secret thing, it still makes many people happy. The hegemonic mentality left over from the Cold War has made them compare in all aspects, and it is already an unmitigated situation. Even the Red Empire has collapsed. This is the mortal enemy, how can it be reconciled? Dreykov sat in the control room of the sky carrier, surrounded by the Black Widows who had been controlled. Since the last successful chip study, their human experiments have also gone well. Ordinary people with slightly weaker willpower, without any resistance at all, will be controlled by them. Black Widow is different. Black Widow has gone through layers of screening to be able to live until now, and has won the title of Black Widow. Their willpower is extremely strong and tenacious, and if they were so easy to control, they would have given up long ago. Therefore, Dreykov's experiment had to take some more time before these determined Black Widows were gradually controlled. By this time, he was already ambitious. He wants to train enough Black Widows all over the world, and when the time comes, with these Black Widows, he can control the entire world. Of course, before that, he had one more thing to solve. The short-haired assistant twisted back and walked away and said, Yelena's situation has gradually stabilized. Quote, Yelena's willpower is the strongest among Black Widows. Fortunately, Dreykov did not want to kill Yelena directly, otherwise she would have been directly immune. But with unremitting efforts, Yelena gradually couldn't bear it, and the psychological defense line collapsed. Dreykov stood up and followed the short-haired assistant into a room. Yelena was lying quietly on the hospital bed, her eyes looking up blankly. A photo appeared in Dreykov's hand. Yelena, this is your inner demon, you have to get rid of him with your own hands. Yelena looked at the man in the photo without the slightest fluctuation in her eyes. The man in the photo is none other than K-Chen, her godfather. The new year of 2006 was very uneventful, like the calm before a storm. Nothing happened. K-Chen relied on his own time management and was busy between several locations. Now he finally knows how hard it is to maintain a human being. No wonder so many stars always roll over. Except that there is no need to disguise in front of Lorna, Paige, White Queen and others, who already know his true nature. In front of Susan and May, he has to maintain the character of a decent gentleman. This made K-Chen feel a little tired. I knew there should have been a showdown then. But now there is no turning back, only to go all the way. The character cannot be broken. Therefore, in the eyes of May and Susan, K-Chen has always been a perfect and good man. Although there was a little flaw in May, she had already forgiven K-Chen. In addition to maintaining the original balance, K-Chen often went to X Academy. Because it was he who proposed the cooperation, Professor X always came to him. Mainly also asked some things about Jean. Ensured that nothing happened to the piano. In this case, Clarice always came to stick to Kei Chen. Because she has an inferior personality and is very timid. When she used the mutant ability for the first time, she almost scared herself to tears. Later, her mutant ability hurts those around her, which makes her swear never to use the mutant ability again. However, such vows are generally broken. Kei Chen gave her a code name, which seemed to be to protect her and make her grateful, so she had a good impression of Kei Chen. The two are naturally acquainted, just like an older brother loves his sister. Kei Chen is a Chinese, and Clarice is also Asian, so she has a natural sense of closeness. The main thing is her face, it is impossible for Kei Chen to ignore it. Until the April Fool's birthday, Kei Chen still did not overturn. On this day, he saw Susan and took the initiative to tempt. Susan, I have an appointment in the evening. Quote. Who? A colleague. Kei Chen said. Female. Susan was instantly alert. We have no other relationship. Kei Chen immediately said. You know, I generally like to buy two different pieces when I buy things, because I don't care which one I prefer. Susan's eyebrows jumped when she heard this, and when she heard this, she felt that Kei Chen was a scumbag. She was heartbroken and wanted to slap Kei Chen. Seeing this, Kei Chen immediately laughed and said, Today is April Fool's Day, just kidding, how could I abandon you and leave? HMPH. Susan retracted her hands when she heard this, but she was still a little angry. Kei Chen coaxed it well, and she gave up. It seems that Susan is not easy to deal with. He finally knew why Tony didn't dare to provoke a woman like Susan. You have to be more careful in the future to prevent the car from overturning. This time is just a trial. Susan is so angry, if she really finds out, she will definitely change into a brother. Why don't you lie to me about getting married tomorrow? Susan asked unreasonably. Because I'm afraid you take it seriously. Kei Chen did not say this sentence in his heart, and said with a playful smile, Our love has long been without marriage to witness. HMPH. Susan was not satisfied when she heard this, but was finally accepted by Kei Chen. It's normal to make a little noise, and it can even make the two sides more harmonious. I don't know how many times it is, but Kei Chen still came to the bathroom to sign in. At such critical moments, he doesn't like to have other people present. Therefore, the bathroom has become the best place. Except for sometimes when you have to save water, it's generally a person. Check in. Feeling the cold water rushing on his body, Kei Chen did not feel cold. With the blessing of dimensional power, his body is already very strong, much stronger than ordinary Asgardians. So much so that he can now easily submit to Susan, and will no longer feel powerless. If it went on like before, Kei Chen suspected that he was going to soak goji berries in a thermos cup. As for cutting off and regenerating yourself, it would be too cruel. Sign in successfully. Congratulations to the host for successfully signing in. Hiding all his strength over the years, he has signed in for 13 consecutive years, and won the reward, God's Whip. Kei Chen turned off the nozzle because a plain belt appeared in his hand. The Whip of God. Just this thing. You're kidding me. Kei Chen cursed in his heart, and immediately saw its introduction. Whip of God. When the Supreme God is bored, he pours a trace of his own power into it, wear it, and you will experience the power of God. But also be aware that once the energy is exhausted, it will take a little time to replenish. It's really God's whip. Kei Chen's originally somewhat shaky hand immediately grasped it steadily, and then carefully put it away. Host. Kei Chen. Personality. Dimensional Demon God. Items. Life-sharing necklace, Mother, Fountain of Eternal Life, Wonder Woman's Lasso of Truth, Whip of God. Abilities. Batman's Combat Ability, Hot Vision, Motherland Version, Telepathy, Teleportation Ability, Mirror Space, Immortal Body, Serious Punch, Time Back. He excitedly went out to find Susan, who was frightened by him and immediately became invisible. But Kei Chen had long been familiar with this game and quickly caught her. It wasn't until he was alone awake that Kei Chen thought with his head on his head. The Whip of God is a very powerful treasure. Although the description is not much, it is only 4 words, which is worth Kei Chen's attention. Most High God. Although he was not sure if it was the Supreme God in DC next door, Kei-Chen felt that apart from him, no existence dared to call himself like this. In a world like Mimang, there are countless gods, but few are really strong. The supreme god is different. In short, the Most High God is the OAA of the 600th world. If wearing this torn belt has his power, then Kei-Chen can do whatever he wants. What more planes? Kei-Chen slept with excitement. Early the next morning, he was put on the whip of God under Susan's care. This belt is good soil. Even Susan shook her head when she saw it. But even so, like an attentive wife, she helped Kei-Chen change into a belt and tie her tie. Kei-Chen is now a successful person, and he dresses very formally outside. The moment he put on the whip of God, Kei-Chen knew what God's power was. What is the power of God? In short, 4 words. All-knowing, all-powerful. The world was crystal clear in his eyes, and as long as he wanted to, he could know everything about the past, present, and future. For a moment, he also knew that if he wanted to do these things, the energy of God's whip would be consumed. Because he is not truly the Most High God, but with the help of this belt, he is able to use this power. Kei-Chen's eyes were extremely deep, as if he had insight into everything in the world, and Susan, who was carefully taken care of, looked at him, and immediately had a feeling that all of them were seen through by Kei-Chen. This startled Susan, and then she was deeply fascinated by Kei-Chen. In Kei-Chen's eyes, he knew everything about Susan. Things from her childhood, and even things after her. For example, tomorrow Susan will have a bloody disaster, causing her to want to go out to fight righteousness, but she has to stop and rest because of this problem. Such as her favorite things, actions. It is not convenient to say more about the rest. And Kei-Chen looked at other places, including an item, and could know its past and present lives, and even the future after that. The whole world seems to have no secrets in his eyes. This is omniscience. However, in the higher end, it may be limited. Because this is the Marvel Universe. Not under the control of the High God. Almighty is simpler. No matter what Kei-Chen wants to do, it seems that a single idea can be realized. For example, make the entire Earth and even the 9 realms disappear. For example, let the world forget one thing. For example, by wearing this belt, he felt as if he had become a true god. The feeling of power intoxicated him. Unfortunately, just for this moment, the whip of God consumed some energy. After Kei-Chen noticed it, he immediately took it off. Let's change it. Under Susan's puzzled gaze, Kei-Chen said, this root has other uses. I don't know why. Susan blushed a little. Susan went out to work, and Kei-Chen returned home. Welcome home, master. As soon as he drove the car into the garage, Ling Ling's breathy voice sounded, making Kei-Chen think of Mrs. Kurosawa on the next bank. What about Paige and Lorna? Kei-Chen asked as he walked up. Ling Ling immediately replied, Ms. Paige just came back from outside. Soon. Kei-Chen saw Paige resting alone. The tall Paige does not look too good in a dress, she is suitable for tight ones. What about Lorna? Kei-Chen asked immediately, still with the mutants. Paige doesn't worry about Lorna anymore, so she won't follow her every time. Hearing this, Kei-Chen directly hugged Paige. What for? It's daytime. Quote. Paige kept struggling, but it didn't work. A few hours later. Kei-Chen completely swelled. Super soldiers. It doesn't seem to be anything remarkable. Paige mouthed that she could fight him for a day, but it turned out to be not for a few hours. After Kei-Chen's body was upgraded in dimension, it was no longer a super soldier who could defeat him. This also made Kei-Chen even more inflated. Indeed it is. In recent times, Lorna, Lingdi, White Queen and others have all been defeated by him. All of them were defeated subordinates, and they spoke a lot softer in front of him. In the past, they could still be a little more majestic, especially the Black Queen, and Kei-Chen's strength was slightly worse than her before. But now, after coming out of the dimension, the offensive and defensive momentum is suddenly different. You know, even Hela was not Kei-Chen's opponent at that time. He has been abused in the dimension so many times. Of course, if Hela can get close to Asgard, the power of Odin in the body will continue to increase, and then it will be another big war. It's just that Kei-Chen, the dimensional demon god, I'm afraid it's not so easy to solve Hela. After swelling, Kei-Chen naturally wanted to challenge the difficulty. Everyone has weaknesses, and the really strong ones like to challenge their weaknesses. He immediately pressed the pager. It didn't take long for Captain Marvel Carol to fall from the sky. She seems to have found a very powerful Tony teacher in the universe, and this time she appeared and changed her hairstyle. This time it was long, slightly curly hair, blonde. Kei Chen asked her to change into an evening dress. Carol's temperament is excellent, and she looks even more beautiful when she changes into an evening dress. The main thing is that it was her battle suit before, which made Kei Chen feel a little tired. Men like novelty, how to find freshness in the same thing. This requires a certain amount of skill. Life needs a little bit of flirtation. Carol is 1 meter 7 meters tall, changed into a blue slit evening dress, and wore about 10 centimeters tall, almost 1 meter 8. Being with Kei Chen is simply a golden boy and jade girl. I have to say that the design of the dress is really the pursuit of beauty, a variety of elements, but it will not violate the guidelines for women to better show their beauty. With the change of Kei Chen's social status, he also liked dresses more and more. Even an ordinary woman seems to become temperamental after wearing a dress. Not to mention Carol, who already has an excellent temperament. Whether it is May, Susan, or Paige and others, the feeling after wearing the dress is completely different. A completely different aesthetic from the previous battle suit. Suits can make them look heroic, but the dress is more feminine. The only person who felt incompatible in the dress was Lorna. The temperament on her body made her unsuitable for dresses. For the current Ketchen, Carol is a stage boss, or the first stage. When they first met, Carol still lost the memory of the earth, when she was still a stupid and cute woman, and was deceived by Kei Chen without using spicy hot. Now she is shrewd and will not be deceived by others, but she still can't escape Kei Chen. Kei Chen naturally changed, and neither of them looked like before. The second time he challenged the boss, Kei Chen was also defeated. Until the third time to face Carol, Kei Chen finally defeated this novice boss. Carol could no longer laugh at Kei Chen. Feeling Kei Chen's powerful strength, she couldn't help but marvel, how the hell did you do it? In a short period of time, Kei Chen has become so much stronger. When they first met, she felt that Kei Chen was an ordinary earthling, but now she didn't know what to say anymore. Kei Chen was holding the whip of God, which did have other effects. For I have God-like power. Kei Chen originally wanted to say that he was God's, but he still took it from heart. Because there really is God in the world. What if God is a careful eye and hates him? The disciples were so arrogant that they called themselves Toaa, and as a result, they immediately pounced on the street. Carol still has things, so after being cleared by Kei Chen, he returned to the universe without staying too long. Although she was suspected of ball rape, Kei Chen did not say anything. Carol only wants to destroy the Kree Empire, and her power remains on Earth to some overkill. And Kei Chen, who was infinitely expanding, felt the power of the Supreme God, and thought in his heart, Captain Marvel has cleared the level, who in this world can stop me? I want Wonder Woman, I want Supergirl. Boom. As soon as he finished thinking about it in his heart, the God Whip burst out with a powerful energy, dragging him directly in. After he left, Furuchi appeared in place in shock. Natasha, who lives alone, does not like to cook for herself. Although Sharon Carter next door always brought her some food, she was not used to it. Fortunately, S.H.I.E.L.D. is no longer guarding against her, and she can be more free. New York is a cosmopolitan city where you can find everything you want, including Natasha's favorite Chinese food. She found a Michelin-starred Chinese restaurant called Café China, the only Michelin-starred Chinese restaurant in New York. Although Natasha was alone, she ordered a lot of dishes that she liked to eat. White-cut chicken, husband and wife lung slices, marinated chicken drumsticks. Although it tasted different from when she was a child, Natasha still felt like home. She has developed a Chinese stomach since she was a child, which is different from others. Many people have to eat Chinese food many times to get used to its taste, but Natasha is different. Eating these pleasant delicacies, she felt that her tired body relaxed a lot. Soon, Natasha finished her table. I'm going to be fat again. She shook her head and sighed. She was going to increase her training volume. The figure of the agent is very important, and it must not be out of shape. Just as she was about to pay, she suddenly saw a familiar figure outside. Elena, Natasha subconsciously chased out. She hadn't seen Elena for a long time. The two are not in the same organization, naturally there will be no contact information, the best thing is to find an intermediary. As a result, the two sisters didn't have much chance to get in touch. Natasha tried it before, but Elena didn't respond at all. Until she saw Elena again this time, she immediately chased her out. However, Natasha pushed open the door and ran 2 steps in Elena's direction, but saw no one. Just in the blink of an eye, Elena's figure disappeared. Am I mistaken? Natasha stood on the street, looked around, and dismissed the idea in her heart. She couldn't have been wrong. That means that Elena is really back in New York. She picked up her phone and hesitated in her heart. Eventually she decided she couldn't tell anyone. Natasha wanted to find S.H.I.E.L.D. to help her find it. But she doesn't like S.H.I.E.L.D. or all secret service organizations. She does not like the Red House, naturally she will not like S.H.I.E.L.D., and doing things for S.H.I.E.L.D. is also to make herself feel better. So she didn't want S.H.I.E.L.D. to know about Elena. Madam, ma'am. At this moment, a figure behind him chased after him and grabbed Natasha's arm. Natasha almost threw the figure behind her over her shoulder to the ground. Until she found out that the other party was wearing restaurant clothes and was an employee of a Chinese restaurant. Ma'am, you haven't paid yet. Natasha suddenly said. Excuse me, how much money? She asked for the price and immediately paid the money along with the tip. Except for some fast food restaurants, you basically have to tip for everything here, even if it's just a taxi. Seeing the employee leave, Natasha looked around again before choosing to go back to her apartment. On the edge of the intersection, a man in a hood glanced in her direction and then bowed his head and left. The patrolman passing by saw that she was white, so he didn't bother. There are many people in Old Beauty in different clothes, as long as it is not black leather, generally no one cares. Natasha threw the camera on Elena's clothes, Drykov muttered. Los Angeles. Demon. As soon as Kei Chen regained his sense of hearing, he heard a male voice singing, Devil's Song, loudly. With his ears full of the man singing and the sound of the piano, Kei Chen sat on the sofa without moving. He looked at the environment, it seemed to be a bar, only it was not open now, but the lights were also dim. In addition to the man sitting at the piano and singing the Devil's Song, there is also a black pearl front desk girl. Even if Kei Chen doesn't like black people, he still has to admit that there are beautiful women in black people, as long as they are not pure black skin. Just as he was thinking about the place, suddenly the song ended. Oh, as the man pressed the piano keys heavily, the entire bar fell silent. Hey, a man wearing a black suit with obvious beard marks on his face walked towards Kei Chen with wine. His eyes were a little deep, the corners of his mouth were an evil smile, and his voice was cynical. You, be, who? He looked at Kei Chen and asked. My name is Kei Chen, who are you? You should have heard my name. Lucifer Monensta. Lucifer looked at Kei Chen and said, and the two looked at each other. Lucifer Morning Star. Hearing this, Kei Chen thought for a while, and then reacted. Fallen angel, Lucifer. I did hear it, which is it? Kei Chen took the wine glass that Lucifer handed him. This is Los Angeles, it's a good place. Lucifer wore a cynical smile. Why are you here? Kei Chen asked Lucifer with doubts, and he gradually had a guess in his heart. Just because he thought about Wonder Woman and Superman for a moment, a dream come true. It is worthy of the power of the Most High God. You have too many questions, but I decided to tell you anyway. Lucifer sat across from Kei Chen with a big grin. Because I am disgusted with all things in hell, I want to come to this earth to relax. Hearing his words, Kei Chen confirmed that Lucifer in front of him was really the fallen angel, the king of hell. Now it's up to me to ask you. Lucifer saw Kei Chen's sudden realization, rubbed his hands together, and revealed a charming smile. On you, why is there power of God? Kei Chen smiled slightly when he heard this. God sent me to do things, very important things. Quote. Isn't it important about the happiness of Wonder Woman and Superwoman? Lucifer looked at Kei Chen, and he didn't know if he believed it. Just muttered, did he know you would meet me? He knows for sure that he has come to warn me. Ha ha ha, Lucifer burst out laughing. The black female front desk also walked over and smiled at Kei Chen. But Kei Chen could see at a glance that she was not human. It's a little devil. He's always like that, don't worry. The little demon Meskin said a word and left. In saying this, Lucifer was like a madman. Why would he know? Kei Chen did not dare to call God at this time. For he knows everything and can do everything, and everything in this universe is arranged by him. It's God. Lucifer stopped smiling and looked at Kei Chen and said slowly. No one in this world knows the Most High God better than Lucifer. Because he is the most perfect angel God has ever created. Kei Chen stood outside the bar of light, looking up at the sunny sky, and under his fantasy, he seemed to be able to see a kind face. Lucifer did not treat him or keep him, but made friends with him. Regarding what Lucifer said, everything in this world was arranged by the Supreme God, and Kei Chen felt a little uncomfortable in his heart. Then he used the whip of God. Could it also be arranged by God? And not because he is a laser bottle. No, the Supreme God can't control Marvel. When Kei Chen thought of this, he immediately showed a hee-hee smile. It seems that he still follows his heart. But for Lucifer's statement, Kei Chen did not have the slightest doubt. Lucifer is a living example of this. He is the most perfect angel created by the Supreme God, but everything is set for him, and in order to escape fate, he chooses to rebel. As a result, Lucifer became the famous fallen angel, was relegated to hell, and became the king of hell. But even so, Lucifer's strength is still incomparably strong. Even he is under the control of the Supreme God, let alone anything else. The Most High God has implicitly stated that he has created the world countless times. In this world, other gods and demons need faith to exist. The High God and Lucifer are not. Because the world was created by him. So far, Lucifer has ruled hell for 10 billion years, and finally feels tired and chooses to come to Earth for vacation. According to him, this is also arranged by the Supreme God. In Lucifer's mouth, perhaps this is the best expression of omniscience and omnipotence. Since he knew, he didn't stop me. Kei Chen muttered, doesn't that mean that he also wants me to do this? Then he glanced at Hikari and left. Lucifer's strength is very strong, and Kei Chen is still very happy to be friends with him. Although Lucifer's identity is that of a fallen angel, the king of hell. But who is not a dimensional demon god? It can't be said that the dimensional demon god is a bad person. Lucifer is almost omnipotent, and omnipresent. There is his presence in any timeline. Even Lucifer himself does not know which is the essence and which is the doppelganger. Lucifer's strength is comparable to that of the sleeping devil, and only Michael among the angels can compare with him. In a newspaper, Kei Chen finally found the news he was looking for. Gotham City, Metropolis, Wayne Group. It's really DC. He even saw Marvel Comics at the booth. Kei Chen let out a sigh. He came to New York with a teleportation and saw his home on Long Island, where other people live. What about my women? There was no goodbye this time. He thought as he looked at the slowly charging whip of God. Obviously, if you want to return to your own world, you need it to be full of energy to be able to use it again. But it's good that I'm not crazy with them. Kei Chen was most afraid of saying goodbye now. Even if he is now a dimensional demon god, his stomach still trembles when he thinks of his previous experience. If you change to an ordinary person, I am afraid that it will have long become a human worker. Thinking of this, Kei Chen didn't care about the affairs of the other world. It's all coming, how can I have fun? However, he also realized the horror of the whip of God. Kei Chen has a good mentality, he can do it as he goes. Anyway, Paige, Lorna, and Susan are all fed by themselves, and there will be no accidents. When he came to this world, he naturally had to relax. He came to the street, ready to gather more information about the world. There are still many differences from the world he is familiar with. For example, New York is called Metropolis, and Gotham City doesn't know where. At this moment, a man wearing glasses hurriedly walked and hit him directly without looking at the road. Kei Chen was knocked back 2 steps, and his expression was shocked. Can anyone else bump him away? And he couldn't react when he wanted to hide. I'm sorry. The man with glasses in front of him apologized to him. It's okay. Kei Chen looked at him and asked, what's your name? Quote, my name is Clark Kent. Clark looked at Kei Chen a little strangely, but as long as Kei Chen didn't blame him, he was relieved. He didn't want to expose his special. Every time he exposed his power, everyone looked at him as if they were seeing a monster. "You're strong, Clark," Kei Chen looked at him and said. Clark didn't know why he said that, but just smiled bitterly. "My name is Kei Chen." Kei Chen looked at him and said again, and then let Clark go. In order to hide his identity, Clark is very low-key in human society. After all, for Kryptonians, the world is too fragile. With a little effort, he could destroy everything. So that makes Clark look a little bleak. Clark kept Kei Chen in mind. This man was a little strange, as if he knew his secret. But for Clark now, he still hasn't found his purpose in life, and he seems a little muddy. Kei Chen ate at a Michelin Chinese restaurant, and then began to look up information about the world. Wonder Woman. Without saying a word, he directly searched for these 4 words. The result is no result. The news about Wonder Woman Diana has long been controlled. But Kei Chen didn't panic, because he knew where Diana was and just wanted to give it a try. Then he searched for Supergirl. Sure enough, it didn't. It wasn't until he reluctantly typed the 3 words Batman that the browser popped up the search results. Apparently, after Grandpa Wayne returned to his hometown, Batman was born. In Gotham City, there is a group of Batmans, true love fans, and he plays superhero and supercriminal games every day, which is simply fun. Batman's enemies are all highly intelligent criminals. Jokers, Riddlers, Penguins. Which one is not a repeat offender with a super high IQ? If Bane's kind of man who likes to break his back does not know Batman's true identity, it is understandable. Joker, Riddler, Penguin, who don't know Batman's true identity. Who believes? How many people in Gotham City can be as rich as Bruce Wayne? Can you make a high-tech outfit? Combined with the time of Bruce Wayne's return and the time when Batman appeared, everyone with a little intelligence knows who Batman is. But this is like Gotham City's. In spoken rules, everyone tacitly says that they don't know who Batman is. The reason is because Batman wears a mask to hide his true identity and protect those around him from harm. And Iron Man wears a helmet just to protect himself from being killed. Tony never wanted to hide his identity. Kei Chen did not expect that even if he came to another world, he still came to France, the former Gallic rooster. It was once because it will soon become a Gallic chicken. For colonial and historical reasons, France could not get rid of the blacks. By 2019, there are 5 million blacks in Gaul, 60% of the newborns in Paris, and only 67 million in its total population. In a few years, it will completely turn into a Gallic chicken. Walking on the streets of Paris, even this year, you can already see little black everywhere. It feels more than New York. It is worth mentioning that 600th World is also 2006. This also made Kei Chen breathe a sigh of relief. He really had to travel back to the First World War period, and he didn't know how to find Paradise Island. At this moment, only one song can express Kei Chen's mood. On the banks of the Seine, coffee on the left bank. Because the place he was going to was the Louvre on the banks of the Seine, on the south side of the Place de l'Opéra de Paris. The Louvre is one of the largest royal palace buildings in France. As early as 1546, King François I of France decided to build a new royal palace on the basis of the original castle, which was continuously expanded by 9 monarchs for more than 300 years, forming a magnificent palace complex in the shape of a U-shape. Although the Louvre was old in the 80s of the 20th century, it has now been rebuilt and restored to its former glory. I don't know how many artists come here, and it has become a mecca for artists. Kei Chen naturally didn't come to find an artist. He bought tickets and entered the Louvre through the gates. The Louvre covers an area of 19 hectares, including the courtyard. There are hundreds of palatial halls dedicated to the collection of 400,000 treasures. Kei Chen has a pair of eyes that are good at discovering beauty, and he has been floating around on the people in front of these treasures. I don't know how long it took. A pair of long legs that defied the sky finally attracted his attention. The so-called white skin and beautiful long legs are probably used to describe this woman. Wearing a long white dress, she is standing on a ladder meticulously maintaining a sculpture of a human head. Kei Chen walked over slowly, and from this angle just admired this pair of long legs against the sky. He looked at the sculpture, and the woman naturally noticed him. Seeing that Kei Chen was very curious, she took the initiative to introduce. this is a sculpture collected by the Pope of Rome back then, and due to the long time, it already needs to make up for it. Her voice was soft and had a unique feeling. No matter how good the treasure is, you must always take care of it, otherwise it will only overshadow it. Kei Chen said thoughtfully. You're right, it's a good job for me, and I love historical objects. The long-legged woman said with a smile. Her smile was sweet, more attractive than those straight legs. Like me, I like to take care of good things. Kei Chen also said with a smile, and the two chatted like confidants. It seems that we are all nostalgic people. The two looked at each other and smiled. The woman immediately concentrated on maintaining the sculpture, holding a brush in her hand to clean it. I don't know how long it took, but she finally finished her work and got down the ladder. Kei Chen looked at her and stretched out his hand gentlemanly. Kei Chen. The woman also took off her gloves and shook hands with Kei Chen with her beautiful hand. Diana. Quote. Diana. Kei Chen deliberately made a look like he had something to say when he heard this, and then fell silent again. What's wrong? Nothing. Kei Chen shook his head and said, nice to meet you. Me too, Diana said with a smile. Then he moved on to his next job. Kei Chen looked at her back and did not stay long, but turned and left the Louvre. Wonder Woman Diana, sure enough, here. Because Diana's appearance in the previous life was too amazing, Kei Chen remembered where she worked. So I searched and finally found Diana. If he didn't find it, he had to go to the museum that appeared in 1984, which he might not find. And the moment he saw Wonder Woman Diana, Kei Chen had already thought of the child's name. And with a careful plan, he was burying a hole for her just now. Diana is a lover, and after the pilot Steve died, she has been single, which shows how loyal she is. Such a woman is very difficult to get. But Kei Chen had a way. He was not in a hurry, first went to find a place to rent a car and rented a luxury car. The French love small cars, logos, Renault's small cars, which are very popular with them. Then there's Audi. Kei Chen rented an Audi A6 and then took another stroll around Paris. The only unpleasant place in this world is that he has no ability to banknote, which leads him to only borrow money from Lucifer. It wasn't until the afternoon that he drove slowly towards the Louvre. Wonder Woman Diana is a female warrior of the Amazons, and at the same time a demigod. She does not feel tired even after a day of work. Her proud long legs can attract everyone's attention wherever she goes. Not just men, but women. Diana, dressed in a white dress, had long been accustomed to it, and she was very confident and ready to go home. But just then, a red Audi stopped next to her. The window rolled down. Kei Chen and Diana looked at each other, and immediately shouted, Diana. Quote. Kei Chen. When Diana saw him, she immediately showed a polite smile. Can you treat the beautiful lady to a nice dinner? I think this year will be happy enough. Kei Chen said directly and boldly. Fortunately, Diana knew English. Diana on the street stopped and looked at Kei Chen in the car, but did not move. I'd love to put you in a good mood, but, excuse me. Diana apparently refused. Kei Chen has long known that it is not so easy. Diana is not a casual person, she is very loyal, and she is defensive, and she is resisting everything in the outside world. Otherwise, with her beauty, I don't know how many people pursue it, and she has long been taken down. Which round got Ketchen? When Kei Chen heard this, he also decisively turned off the fire and got out of the car. He looked at Diana across the car, and Diana did not leave, looking a little helpless. Because Kei Chen had a degree of advancement and retreat, and it was not too excessive, it was difficult for her to leave directly. In other ways, Diana left without giving a good face. Kei Chen is also very personable. Let me guess, do you have a boyfriend again? Kei Chen said. Diana smiled a little, but quickly reacted, again. But Kei Chen did not respond to her doubts, and said to himself, I feel that you should not, you are so good and beautiful, an excellent person like you will not hand himself over casually. For some reason, Diana was a little happy to hear this. Obviously, Kei Chen's words were praising her. It seems to be asking if she has a male companion. In fact, she is said to be excellent and beautiful, and also that she is very loyal and not a casual person. This is not the same as direct praise, the words are not the same, and it doesn't sound like Diana is licking a dog. Many people have a misunderstanding of the concept of licking dogs, and even extremely think that actively pursuing girls is licking dogs, and you have to wait for girls to take the initiative to chase you. In fact, such thoughts can lead you to death. Strike when it's time to shoot, so that you can have a good result, instead of waiting stupidly when you have the opportunity, afraid that you will become the so-called licking dog. The focus here is on words. Some people make people feel that he is an old licking dog as soon as they open their mouths, because they don't talk. Just like now, if Kei Chen directly praised her, even if she said it wildly, Diana would not waver in the slightest. There are so many people who praise her beauty, what difference does Kei Chen have? Therefore, Kei Chen will directly use the way of asking questions instead. And it also let Diana have a call. Sure enough, Diana didn't care about the word Odin, but smiled and asked, "What if I say yes?" Obviously, she was referring to Steve, who really was a loyal man. But Kei Chen likes to be difficult. What's more, Steve is a dead man. What is there to be afraid of a dead man? Dead people can't compare. That will make Emperor Wei Wu laugh. Then grab it. Kei Chen immediately said. The good-looking skin bag is the same, and the interesting soul is 1 in a million. If you can snatch it, it proves that he can't give you happiness. Diana's words were clearly touched a little. How can Diana be happy? At the same time, she also had a little good impression of Kei Chen, and felt that Kei Chen was very interesting and had a little humor. Do you do this to every beautiful girl? So, Diana asked rhetorically. It's not. Kei Chen naturally shook his head, and he immediately said, I can swear to God, you are the first woman in this world to let me say this. Quote. He wasn't lying, and in the 600th world, Diana was really the first to let him say that. Diana looked deeply at Kei Chen when she heard this. You can't say that nonsense. Don't worry, I firmly believe in the existence of God more than you do. Kei Chen said with a smile, asking Diana to confirm that he was not playing himself. At this moment, she did have a good impression of Kei Chen. She knew that there was God in this world, and Kei Chen dared to swear to God, it was really warrior. So Diana immediately opened the co-pilot's door and said, Go. With a smile on his face, Kei Chen immediately opened the door and started the car. This stunned the surrounding people who were ready to watch the excitement. It's not that no one has pursued Diana, but without exception they have been rejected. Only women can get closer to Diana, so it is rumored that Diana is a lace. As a result, now Diana was taken away by a man in public, which immediately made many people regret and hate Kei Chen at the same time. Where are we going? Diana asked. Sitting in the car, she didn't have any restraints. Candlelight dinner, Kei Chen said with a smile. He booked a restaurant overlooking the Eiffel Tower. When the two arrived, everything was already laid out, and the candlelight seemed a little dim, but standing on the balcony, you could see the entire Eiffel Tower. Enjoy a candlelit dinner here, even Diana finds it romantic. Although living in France for a while, Diana did lack romantic genes. The main thing is that no one can be romantic. The waiter poured red wine for both of them and shook and clinked glasses. I'm not cheating. Enjoy dinner with you. I will be extremely happy this year. Kei Chen attacked with a smile. But Diana was always on the defensive. Thank you. Then Kei Chen began to try to open her chatterbox, but Diana was a little dull. Although he had some good feelings for Kei Chen, he did not accept him so easily. Kei Chen didn't care either, telling Diana about his travel experience. Although Diana did not speak much, she listened carefully and answered from time to time. Soon, the candlelit dinner is over. Kei Chen did not let her go home, but took Diana to the banks of the Seine. The north bank of the Seine is called the right bank and the south bank is called the left bank. The right bank is the main commercial center of Paris, and the left bank is home to its famous coffee shops. Zhou Dong did not lie, there is really coffee from the left bank. At night, the Seine is full of literary atmosphere, and the bridges on the river have a variety of colors and shapes. The most glorious bridge Alexander III connects the Champs-Élysées with the Place des Invalides. There are also viewing boats swimming on the river, and you can enjoy the scenery from all over the place. Diana didn't want to go to the boat, so she drank coffee with Kei Chen on the shore. Thank you, I'm having a good time too. Diana drank cold coffee, and Kei Chen drank the cappuccino that her aunt brought her. As the night grew darker, Kei-chen drove Diana back to the apartment. Now he knew where Diana lived, and when she got out of the car, he asked, "Don't you invite me to go up and sit?" "No, it's a mess at home." Diana found a reason to refuse. Fools know what to do when they go so late. Kei-chen just asked casually, knowing that Diana would not agree. So he started the car and left. Diana didn't care either, just as a spice in a dull life. Until she got off work the next day, she met Kei-chen, who came by car. Kei-chen rolled down the window and said with a smile, "I want to be happy in my life in the future." Diana suddenly felt a little amused. But with the first time yesterday, she hesitated and got in the car again. Yudao is one birth, two ripeness. As time passed, Kei-chen and Diana finally became acquainted. Diana was no longer so guarded against Kei-chen. The trace of loneliness in her heart seemed to be hooked by Kei-chen. Even if she is a demigod, she is still half a woman after all, and the goddess will be lonely. But even so, they did not reach the point of saying nothing, and there were still many things like taboos. In fact, Kei-chen also deliberately did not ask Diana. He was waiting for an opportunity. Diana was too conservative and loyal. For so long, he only took Diana's hand and was taken away by her. It's just that at the moment of contact, Diana still found Kei-chen special. He has not very good energy in him. But Diana didn't say anything. She believed that Kei-chen had something unspeakable. This is also the reason why they did not say anything. They were all waiting for an opportunity. It's just that what Kei-chen doesn't know is that the women in his family are a little anxious. At first, Lorna and Paige didn't feel anything. Although it is Kei-chen's own home, they are also accustomed to Kei-chen, who sometimes disappears for a few days. The so-called see-through does not say broken. They did not put this matter on the surface. And in the past, when Kei-chen was leaving, he would tell them in advance, so that they could take this opportunity to squeeze it. But this time, Kei-chen suddenly disappeared, which made them a little panicked. I thought it was hooked by some woman. As time passed, beyond the previous few days, they finally decided to look for it. Lorna and Paige drive out of the house, knowing that Kei-chen will go to the Hellfire Club. As a result, I went straight to the door. They both know each other's existence. Lorna knows the White Queen and Spirit Butterfly, and the White Queen naturally knows Lorna and Paige. It's just that Lorna seems to have followed Kei-chen first, and some of them don't want to see people. "Why are you here?" The White Queen looked at the green-haired Lorna, a little inexplicable. "Give me back, man." Facing the competitors, Lorna just said with a cold face. Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. The White Queen looked puzzled, and then quickly reacted. "He's not here." "Where is that?" "I don't know, I didn't lie to you." Emma the White Queen said, "I'm waiting for him too." Obviously, none of them knew that Kei-chen suddenly disappeared without saying goodbye. Isn't that going to happen? Everyone frowned, but they knew that Kei-chen's strength was strong. Who could deal with him? Let's go find it together. Thinking of this, they took the initiative to look for it. Soon, Emma and Lorna, the White Queen, knew about May and Susan. Boy, May also has a child, and Susan is the invisible woman who has recently become popular. Fortunately, no matter how you look at it, Peter Parker doesn't look like Kei-chen's child. Because he clearly does not have the characteristics of an Oriental. Emma the White Queen did not disturb them, and found that Kei-chen was not by their side either, and she panicked even more. Finally, even found Erica. But Kei-chen was obviously not here with Erica. Fortunately, the Hellfire Club had hands and eyes in the sky, and soon found Kei-chen's last hotel record. Kei-chen was the last to appear here. But after that, they don't know. Don't worry, he is strong and will be fine. The White Queen had the most confidence in Kei-chen. Maybe something happened to him and he will come back after it's over. Hearing her words, everyone was no longer worried, but went back separately. The main reason was that Kei-chen left without preparation this time, so they were a little flustered. If it was like before, they told them, even if they left for a while, they knew that Kei-chen had something to do. In another world, Kei-chen of France is dashing. As time passed, there was an inexplicable affection between Kei-chen and Diana. It's just that Diana still has some concerns and has not fully accepted Kei-chen. But her heart has long been shaken. In all these years, she has not met a man who makes her heart. And she feels that love is far away from her. Even the pilot back then was just taking advantage of her ignorance. To put it bluntly, she is a demigod with a long lifespan, and if she likes ordinary people, it will be a torture for Diana. So apart from the pilot, she didn't look for a second man. Until she met Kei Chen. Although Kei Chen was a little thick-skinned, it brought her happiness. That evening, Kei Chen shared dinner with Diana. She agreed to sit on the viewing boat with Kei Chen, and the two unconsciously leaned together, and Diana leaned her shoulders on Kei Chen. After the end, Kei Chen sent her home and asked questions again. Don't you invite me to go up and sit? Diana did not refuse this time. I want to, we need to have a good talk. Hearing this, Kei Chen smiled, and Diana became serious. It's just that now is the hardest step. How to get Diana to accept him completely and forget everything before. Sorry Pilot Steve, Rue's wife, my Yang Ji. Kei Chen never expected that he would also become a Sao thief. But I have to say, this is really fragrant. No one can refuse Wonder Woman. Kei Chen followed Diana to the apartment where she lived, which was very large. I didn't lie to you, I really need to clean up. Opening the door, Kei Chen saw something that should not be seen, and Diana immediately blushed and cleaned up. Kei Chen didn't care either, and followed Diana to observe the apartment. In the utility room, he vaguely saw a gold battle suit. After packing up, Diana also regained her composure. Would you like a drink? She asked Kei Chen. Of course, Kei Chen agreed. Where is the chance if you don't get drunk? Diana poured a glass of red wine for the two, and the atmosphere gradually changed as she took a sip. The two got closer and closer. Kei Chen and Diana looked at each other and went directly to each other, and just when they were about to touch, Diana reacted. I'm sorry, she shrugged back and said. Kei Chen did not give up this time, but grabbed Diana's hand and asked, why? I'm not ready, there are other people in my heart who can't accept you. Diana bit her lip and said, because of Steve. Kei Chen said the name a little, lost. You know him. Diana was a little emotional when she heard this. How could you possibly know him? Why? She immediately jumped away and had a little distance from Kei Chen. It was indeed stimulated. Steve the pilot as a World War I person, how could Kei Chen know her? Could it be that Kei Chen came prepared? Everything done was premeditated. Thinking like this, Diana's heart was dead, and she felt that she was looking at the wrong person. She even regarded Kei Chen as an enemy. Listen to me, Diana. Kei Chen looked at Diana, and suddenly the atmosphere became heavy. Steve and I are good friends and we've known each other for a long time. Where? Diana suddenly asked with a sneer. Hell. Kei Chen slowly spit out these two words and began his own performance. He didn't know how long he had been thinking about this statement. Since she wants to take down Diana, she naturally can't let her have another person in her heart. I died once, Diana. Kei Chen said to Diana. I met Steve there and he told me everything about you. He looked at Diana and said affectionately. Diana only felt that it was a fantasy when she heard this, but she couldn't help but believe it. She just shook her head and said, impossible. Kei Chen's expression did not change, and he began to hit Diana's psychological defense with his own care. He told me about Paradise Island, about the Amazonian female warriors, and about him taking you to the German army to find Ares, the god of war. Kei Chen said slowly, and Diana was completely silent when she heard this. He also told me that you recalled him to Earth in 1984, which almost destroyed him when he returned to Hell. Diana really panicked when she heard this. Kei Chen even knew this. Could it be that everything he said was true? So why? Diana's heart faltered. Don't you still believe me? Kei Chen said. He walked to the kitchen, picked up a knife, and directly cut his arm. Nope. What are you doing? Diana didn't have time to stop it. I saw that Kei Chen directly cut his arm. To her surprise, Kei Chen's arm instantly returned to its original state. This is the immortal body, Diana. Kei Chen said bitterly. I am a person who has died once, and my immortal body makes me never die again. What about Steve? Diana chose to believe, but she asked anyway. Kei Chen sneered inwardly when he heard this, and said, Steve and I met in Hell, and shortly after he went back, he met the Queen of Hell, and soon after, they fell in love. Quote. Impossible. Diana shouted again that it was impossible, but this time it was not as determined as it was at the beginning. We are planning to escape from Hell and return to Earth. But just when he was about to succeed, Steve said he didn't want to go, and he was completely in love with the Queen of Hell. Kei Chen said extremely seriously, making Diana think that this was all true. He is just a mortal. Lucifer, the King of Hell, loves the Queen of Hell deeply, and after knowing about this, he directly killed Steve completely, and his soul dissipated. And I had fled back to the world at that time. Lucifer wanted to kill me, but the Queen of Hell who lost her lover cursed me, so that I would never die, I would never go to Hell again, so I had an immortal body. It's a curse, Diana. Kei Chen said and stabbed himself again. It's a wolf. Seeing this, Diana immediately stopped him. She had gradually believed Kei Chen's words, because it didn't sound like a lie. Before leaving Hell, Steve said he was sorry for you and asked me to take good care of you. That's why I came to you, Diana. I knew you for a long time. Diana fell into memories when she heard this. No wonder she felt that Kei Chen was a little strange when they first met. And at that time he also said, Odin, which turned out to mean this. Diana in the memory was a little abrupt, and she completely believed Kei Chen. For Steve, she chose to let go slowly in her heart. He is completely dead, his soul is gone, and he has chosen the so-called Queen of Hell. Thinking like this, Diana looked at Kei Chen. Kei Chen slowly walked over and hugged her, and said in her ear, I promised Steve, I solemnly told him, Ru wife, I raise it. Diana looked at Kei Chen, and at this moment, Kei Chen felt something wrapped around his hand. Summer hot. He looked down and saw a golden lasso wrapped around him. You still have a lasso of truth? Kei Chen asked strangely. Diana didn't know what it meant, but just said, this is originally my thing, and I haven't left my side. Quote. It seems that Kei Chen is another Wonder Woman's, or is it a system product? Are you telling the truth? Diana asked with some expectation and apprehension. Because Kei Chen was entangled in the lasso of truth at this time, he could only tell the truth. I saw him slowly speak. I fell in love with you at first sight, Diana. I will definitely take good care of you, forget Steve. Quote. He was telling the truth, and the lasso of truth couldn't hurt him. The main thing is that Diana asked the wrong way. But at this time, Diana was no longer in the mood to think about this. Kei Chen looked at Diana, who was in a trance, and breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that the story he has made up for so long still has some effect. It's just suffering Lucifer. It is clear that Lucifer is a prodigal son, but in his story he becomes the beloved king of hell. Unconsciously, Kei Chen took away the lasso of mantra, and the lasso of mantra was indeed tormenting. In turn, he tied the lasso of mantra directly to Diana. I saw that Diana's body suddenly softened and fell down directly. If it weren't for his quick holding, she would already be on the ground. Diana looked at Kei Chen in shock, but she was tied by the lasso of the truth, and there was no room for resistance. The lasso of truth is her favorite artifact and her biggest weakness. Kei Chen looked at Diana and asked softly, Diana, me, or Steve? Follow your heart's choice. Diana was tormented by the lasso of mantra, and she could only tell the truth. So she closed her eyes, and a clear tear ran through the corner of her eye. This tear seemed to drain all the memories of the pilot from her memories. For a person who has completely disappeared, she does not seem to have any nostalgia. So Diana said slowly, you. Quote. She dragged the word, you, long, which shows her inner shyness and difficulty. But under the influence of the lasso of mantra, she can't resist her heart. These time contacts, Kei Chen has long left an indelible impression in her heart. Even if there is no such thing as today, as time goes by, Kei Chen will gradually replace Steve's position. Steve is a dead man, and Kulchen is better than him, better than him, better than him. Diana's heart had long been shaken. She only felt the power in Kei Chen's body before she hesitated a little. Now she finally knows what happened to Kei Chen, and this story also explains why Kei Chen has the power of a demon god. It turned out to be cursed by the Queen of Hell. If it were an ordinary person, she would have cursed people when she heard such a sneaky story, but Diana knew a lot, so she would believe it, because she was a demigod. Diana. Kei Chen carried Diana towards her room. Diana naturally knew what to expect. But under the influence of the lasso of mantra, she could not resist at all. Moreover, the true voice of her heart also came out. Kong. She couldn't wait for a long time. Diana may have waited more than 20 years. Kei Chen didn't know when he took out another mantra lasso, which shocked Diana. Why are there two artifacts? The 4 happy events of life. Somewhere else. Cave room flower candle night, when the gold list is inscribed. There were 2 of the 4 happy events at once, and Diana was happier than ever. Could this be the power that comes with the immortal body? Sure enough, the strong should fight the strong. Kei Chen and Diana tacitly did not mention last night's incident. It's just that by the next day, the relationship between the two was significantly different. There is a world of difference between breaking through the last step and not breaking through. Diana completely forgot Steve. After all, the most recent memories of the other party also date back more than 20 years. Far water can't quench near thirst. For Diana, life was like a new beginning. Everything before, just a beautiful misunderstanding. She found that she was truly in love with Kei Chen. Although she was curious where Kei Chen got a lasso of truth again. This made Diana very helpless, and she couldn't escape Kei Chen's palm in the future, because Kei Chen directly pinched her weakness. Disobedient. The mantra lasso is obedient when used. Diana directly took a few days off, and she and Kei Chen didn't even come out of the room. Until she was a little tired in the end, she went to work normally, and then Kei Chen came to pick her up. This time lasted for a long time. Kei Chen became more and more proud, and Wonder Woman could not completely defeat him. This feeling made him full of confidence. Ask the world, who can still be his enemy? It's just that as the months passed, he also felt a little bored. Because he had to wait for Diana to leave work every day, and he was a little tired. Coupled with the fact that the God Whip was still charging, Kei Chen couldn't go back, so he decided to find something to do. It is also to produce beauty for Diana distance. Anyway, he can teleport back at any time. So he told Diana that he was going to the United States to do something, and left directly. Diana's whole person became radiant during this time, and naturally she would not mind him leaving for a short while. For so many years, she was alone, and there was no need to worry about her loyalty at all. Just in an instant, Kei Chen came to the metropolis. He is most familiar with Metropolis, no different from New York in the Marvel world. At most, there is less Stark building, less Shield building. But there are many new buildings, such as the building invested by Wayne Group. No one knows how rich the Wayne Group is. Almost all the projects in the entire Gotham City have the investment of the Wayne Group, so some people say that Gotham City is the territory of the Wayne family. Even in cities like Metropolis, Wayne Group has invested in many projects. So it's really hard to say which Wayne or Tony is richer. And now at this point in time, the big events in the 600th world have not really begun. It's just that a Batman has appeared, Clark has not yet become Superman, Aquaman is still catching fish, and the Flash is even earlier. Moreover, Kei Chen was not interested in men. As for the Superwoman he had been looking for, he couldn't find any movement. Clark has influence when she becomes Superman, and Supergirl talent will appear. Aside from knowing her name was Carla, it wasn't easy to find at all. Thinking like this, Kei Chen went directly from the metropolis to Gotham. Thanks for the invitation, people in Gotham. Kei Chen, who had just got off the plane, felt the simplicity of the people here. Everyone looked around with vigilant eyes, mixed with the look of looking at the fat sheep from time to time. In such a place, it is strange that there are no guns and robberies. After leaving the airport, Kei Chen was ready to take a taxi to rent a car first, and then find a place to stay. It's just that as soon as he opened the car door, a lady squeezed in. Kei Chen naturally wouldn't let her, and also sat in. "Where are you two?" The driver thought that the two of them were together, and suddenly asked. "Go to Arkham Asylum," the woman said directly. Kei Chen also said immediately, "Yes, send this crazy woman to a mental hospital, she has a serious brain disease." Quote, "The Arkham Asylum is located on the outskirts of Gotham City, where felons are held, which can be called Gotham's abnormal human research center. This woman grabbed a taxi and had to go to this kind of place. I'm afraid she is not a normal person. This gentleman, I'm not a crazy woman." At this time, the lady next to her turned her head to look at Kei Chen. She has long blonde hair, intellectual glasses, and OL clothing, and her facial features and expression are a little seductive, which makes people want to commit crimes. You robbed me of the rental I called, and you still don't apologize to me, aren't you a crazy woman? Kei Chen smiled and said, he didn't mind where he went, after all, he had just come to Gotham. I'm sorry, but I'm in too much of a hurry, otherwise I'm going to be late again. The stunner said to Kei Chen. Kei Chen stretched out his hand and forgave her. Kei Chen. She also stretched out her hand to shake hands with Kei Chen, indicating reconciliation. Hallie Kezel, not Quinn, it's a nice name. The woman was a little nervous and laughed when she heard this. Kei Chen smiled and confirmed that this woman was the clown woman in the future, but she had not changed her name to Harley Quinn yet. Why are you going to Arkham? I've heard it's not a good place to be. Then, he started talking to Harley. First get acquainted, wait until she becomes a clown, and then snatch her from the clown. The clown has always disliked the clown girl, it is her wishful thinking. Kei Chen will let her see the reality. Who says it isn't? Hallie Kezel said. I am a sick counselor in the Arkham Asylum, I am famous all over Gotham, who doesn't know that I am a well-known criminal psychologist? I don't know. The driver, who was already driving, replied. Immediately made Hallie Kezel speechless. She decided not to take care of the driver and only chatted with Kei Chen. The two got acquainted with each other for a while, and then left a contact information. Although she has not yet become a clown woman, Harley herself is a little crazy. Otherwise, she would not be so easily changed by the Joker. Studying psychology is very problematic. It's like some people who learn the law and end up losing their humanity. Soon arrived at the Arkham Asylum, a woman who was also a stunner picked up Hallie. Why does a madhouse want so many beautiful women? Goodbye, baby. Hallie Queasel turned around and gave Kei Chen a fly, and then turned and entered the madhouse. Kei Chen didn't drive her out of the car, she was still very grateful. Where to go next? The driver immediately asked Kei Chen. Find a fancy hotel. Kei Chen changed his mind. Harley didn't turn into a clown, and it seemed that Gotham wasn't as fun as he thought. Just like before to Susan, Kei Chen waited for Susan to become an invisible woman. Harley is naturally the same, if it weren't for the clown girl, the game wouldn't be so exciting. He doesn't yet know what real madness feels like. Thinking about it this way, I am afraid that most of the characters he knows have not yet become what he wants. For example, Poison Ivy, Hiss. Coming to the high-end hotel, Kei Chen also thought about it after staying. You can't go to the Queen of the Sea, can you? There is a saying in Gotham City. It is best not to go out at night. After all, this is the simple Gotham City, and the talented Arkham is on the outskirts of the city. It is impossible to live in Gotham without a little strength. Especially with Batman's vigilante, the situation not only did not improve, but also got worse. Of course, for ordinary people, it is indeed safer. Ordinary criminals are afraid of Batman, and they dare not appear, so it's a big deal to change places to do evil. There is no need to ruin the second half of your life because of a little money. After all, everyone knows that Batman never kills, just makes you half dead. But for those highly intelligent criminals, Gotham seems to have become heaven. Batman doesn't kill people, so they came to Batman to play. So at night, Gotham is more dangerous than before. Those highly intelligent criminals have no humanity and are accidentally taken hostage. Forced to participate in this game between Batman and his fans. Walking on the street, Kei Chen couldn't see that this was a prosperous city. Compared with the daytime, Gotham looks lifeless, and the beating of villains can be heard everywhere. Pedestrians on the street are in a hurry, afraid of the approach. In New York, this point of nightlife has just begun, and the night is much livelier than the day. Kei Chen turned around uninterestingly, and felt that it was better to go back to Diana's warm little apartment. At this moment, he saw a light suddenly appear in the sky in the distance, shining in the night, and suddenly formed a bat symbol. Gordon. Kei Chen didn't chuckle in his heart, but he still rushed over. In Gotham City, it seems that this thing is a little interesting. And after becoming a dimensional demon god, he naturally has the ability to fly. The ability to fly has always been incidental, but there is a difference between fast and slow, and it is not such a special ability. For the strong, it is not surprising to have the ability to fly, and it is special without the ability to fly. Like Thanos, like Darkseid. When K-Chen flew in, he saw that it was indeed Director Gordon. "Are you so fast today?" Gordon suddenly asked when he saw K-Chen. Because K-Chen used the ability to change reality and casually got himself a bat suit. It's just that this bat suit is a little crazy. But Gordon didn't think too much. Who else can be so fast except Batman? What's going on? K-Chen changed his voice and felt that it was a little funny. There's a big thief, it's a woman, she's been stealing jewelry a lot lately, and we've been tricked by her 5 times, so. Said Chief Gordon. There's nothing embarrassing about that. Although Batman is a vigilante, he also has to cooperate with them. This allows you to get information faster. Information. K-Chen said in a low voice. Director Gordon casually gave him things. I'll fix it, K-Chen said. Thank you, Chief Gordon said and turned away. You have to be careful, this thief is not simple, and he has not made a heavy hand. But he said and noticed that something was wrong, because there was no sound behind him. He turned his head and saw that Batman had indeed disappeared. Talking to this guy really can't turn around. Just as Director Gordon was about to leave, he suddenly heard another voice behind him. Why are you back again? He turned his head and saw Batman standing behind him. Moreover, the combat clothes on the body were changed. Again, Batman Bruce Wayne was stunned. What do you mean? Another Batman appeared just now, and he also took the information I had. At this time, Director Gordon also realized that something was wrong. He felt that someone had staged a real and fake Batman for him. Who? Bruce asked quickly. I don't know, he also wore a bat suit. Commissioner Gordon spoke. He then exchanged a code with Batman and determined that this was the real Batman. In the future, to communicate with Batman, you have to deal with the code first. Could it be one of your fans? Commissioner Gordon then asked. Quote, I'll handle it. Bruce was dumbfounded. You give me a copy of the information first. Wait a minute. Director Gordon could only transmit this time, but he didn't turn around, and after the information was transmitted, he still stared at Batman. Isn't it common sense that you should leave? Chief Gordon asked, looking at Batman. Batman, how do you see me leave? K-Chen flew to the side and unfastened the energy battle suit on his body. He looked at the information in his hand, and the code name was only 2 words. Catwoman. So Batman is Oriental. Just then, a seductive voice sounded. You're so unintelligent, ma'am. K-Chen lost the information, because the main lord came directly to the door. He looked at the woman who fell in front of him, about 1.7 meters, weighing up to 60 kilograms, with long brown-black hair, a small mask on her face that barely covered her eyes, a black rubber tights, black gloves, and black high heels. Catwoman's appearance is amazing. Obviously she didn't show it at all, but she still thinks she is pretty. She's not the kind in the comics, but like Anne Hathaway's version of Catwoman. But I feel like I'm smart because I caught a Batman fan. Catwoman certainly knows he's not Batman. But she felt that K-Chen was more terrifying than Batman. How did K-Chen's bat suit just now disappear? I'm not a fan of Batman, but you probably are. No, I just wanted to tease that idiot. Catwoman said with a smile. She had flaming red lips, which happened to be what K-Chen liked. My name is K-Chen. K-Chen smiled and stretched out his hand. Catwoman wore gloves and still reached out to shake him. Selena, although it is necessary to use vests to walk the rivers and lakes, both of them are very sincere. But at the moment of shaking hands, Catwoman Selena chose to start directly. She stuck her whole person over, and while holding K-Chen's hand, her legs clamped his head. Boom. But just for a moment, Selena was thrown to the ground by K-Chen. Little kitten, you're still tender playing with me. Before Selena could react, she was directly restrained by K-Chen. Looking at the arrogant K-Chen, she still wanted to continue to resist, but found that a golden rope had bound her. What is it? Catwoman Selena asked immediately. Your favorite rope. Catwoman's weapon is also a whip. It's just that it doesn't have divine power like a mantra lasso, it's just a very ordinary whip. Caught by the lasso of truth, Catwoman Selena instantly lost the ability to resist, like a docile kitten. Not long after, a black figure fell to the place where the fight had been fought before. Batman glanced at the traces and confirmed that the fighter had left. And it is suspected to be his imitator and that Catwoman. Who the hell is it? Batman Blues was instantly out of the mood to play games with fans. Sure enough, he broke the Batmobile and returned to Wayne Manor. Wayne Manor is located on the outskirts and covers a huge area, allowing Bruce Wayne to do whatever he wants. Young Wayne, why did you come back so early today? Seeing Bruce Wayne return, Butler Alfred asked. There is a copycat of mine. Bruce took off his mask and said, besides, he seems to know my habits well. Quote, even he knows his habit of leaving when others turn around. This is a real fan. Bruce immediately looked for the shadow of the imitator on his supercomputer. Something was found, but it was not known who exactly. It made him feel tricky. But he believes that as long as the other party continues to stir up trouble in Gotham City, he will always find it. What do you want to do? Kei Chen had already returned to the hotel with Catwoman Selina teleportation at this time. This made Selina a little confused, she had never seen this ability. Of course, I know that I have met someone I shouldn't provoke, and I regret it immensely. At this moment, she was directly thrown onto the bed by Kei Chen. Play some games. Kei Chen looked at Selina, who was bound by the lasso of truth, and held her black whip in her hand. I don't like compulsion. Catwoman Selina was frightened and said immediately. I don't like it either. Kei Chen said, directly putting away the lasso of truth. He likes to be pleased, even if it's just a lie. Selina, the Catwoman who had regained her freedom, did not move, and after a short exchange, and such a strange ability, she knew that she was not Kei Chen's opponent. Where are you from? She hesitated and sat on it and asked Kei Chen. You guess. Kei Chen didn't answer, just said, you won't think I let you go, right? From today onwards, as long as I am in Gotham, you will follow me. He said domineeringly. You want to declare that you are my maid to the outside world, do you understand? Catmaid. You don't think about it. When Catwoman Selina heard this, she suddenly looked like a fried kitten. Let her follow her, because she knows it's hard to escape. But also asking her to be a maid, this is a bit too much. If it's a claim girlfriend, that's not impossible to promise. Women are yan dogs, just as men like to be beautiful, they also like handsome. And they are very good at lowering conditions. If you negotiate with them, raise your requirements a little, and then lower them, even if the requirements are still excessive, they will feel fair. It's just that weird. Therefore, as long as Kei Chen lowered his requirements now, Selina might immediately agree. Unfortunately, Kei Chen had already made up his mind. Isn't it fragrant to let Catwoman be a maid? He has too many girlfriends, he has long been unable to count. You don't agree. Therefore, Kei Chen looked at Selina with dangerous eyes. What do you want to do? Selina was scared again. It's not what I want to do, it's it. Kei Chen raised the lasso of mantra in his hand. The lasso of Shingen emits a golden light, which looks quite powerful. I don't know if it hurts when it smokes. When Selina heard this, she immediately gave in, I agree. Then what did you call me? Kei Chen asked. Master. Unexpectedly, Catwoman Selina shouted smoothly. Maybe this is the experience since childhood. Selina's childhood was tragic. In a place like Gotham, losing her parents, she could only live on her own. So much so that this honed her smooth mentality, and she will not die to the end, that is, she is not so disciplined. For things she can't do, she will give up immediately. Those who can't beat will naturally surrender immediately. Only in this way can she live well in Gotham. Fortunately, she has strong strength, otherwise the end may be even worse. Therefore, for the master of shouting Kei Chen, as long as she accepted it in her heart, she was more skilled than Ling Di. It's just that such a Catwoman is easy to backtrack. It's not that she didn't want to escape Gotham, but she has too many criminal records, and she is still wanted if she escapes to other places. Can't live a normal life anyway, why not choose to stay in Gotham? At least here is full of talents, the folk customs are simple, and it is a paradise for criminals. Actually, the Penguins have such a mentality. Without Gotham, they may not be as mixed as they are now. Kei Chen disappeared instantly, and just when Selina wanted to take the opportunity to escape, Kei Chen returned. And he also holds a maid outfit in his hand, as well as a cat ear. OMG, he really came. Seeing this scene, Catwoman Selena had a nervous breakdown. Fortunately, she has not yet reached the point of insaneness, otherwise she will definitely go crazy. Put it on. Kei Chen threw it to Catwoman Selena. She held it tremblingly in her hand, and she wanted to have the courage to shout, "No," to Kei Chen. But this scene only existed in her fantasy, but the reality was honestly changed in front of Kei Chen. Kei Chen did not shy away from it at all, and admired her Meowman's figure like this. Selena didn't care either, in fact she didn't dare to be angry. Her personality is like a real cat, although she is a small wild cat, she still can't change her timid personality. There is a saying that is very classic. Women are very much like cats, while men are more like dogs. Dogs are loyal and friendly, while cats are cold, independent and unreliable. With dogs by my side, I feel warmer, while cats are puzzling, and women are the same. Men show more confidence around men than around women. You always need to keep a little distance from women. We don't want someone to control our soul, and women have a habit of controlling people. So women always make people love and hate. Quote, men and men are more likely to be friends and relationships will be better, and once there is no romance between men and women, they can't even be friends. Catwoman Selena, as this sentence describes. She will never be reliable. Just when she thought that after changing her clothes, Kei Chen would do something to her, she found that Kei Chen went to sleep directly. And Catwoman Selena deliberately waited for an hour, which was extremely tormenting, until she really confirmed that Kei Chen was really asleep, and she immediately got up and prepared to escape. She had never thought of really being a maid for Kei Chen, and agreeing was only a temporary expedient. Don't try to conquer me like that, man. She looked at the sleeping Kei Chen and nodded on his face. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.